Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm sorry we're 10 minutes late to start this recording. I thought my watch was set 10 minutes ahead, but it turns out I set it 10 minutes behind, which is ludicrous. That's just a ludicrous thing to do, right? 10 minutes ahead, you wind up on time for everything if you're a chronically late person like myself or David Paymer. Regardless, I'm Devin Decker. He's Sejohn Sarwick. It doesn't matter. We're recording this out of space and time because it's an excused absence episode. And if you want to know more about excused absence episodes, get in the Wayback Machine and jump to episode 494, 40 years of One Crazy Summer. I did about 5 minutes on them and what they are, which means
David Paymer had a lot to say about One Crazy Summer.
He really did. Good old David Paymer. Is he fresh off of Get Shorty in this movie? I
think Get Shorty is after this, no?
I think Get Shorty's 95. I could be wrong.
Oh, no, you might be right. You totally might be right. It's such a cool movie. I think I sometimes lump it in the Ocean's era, which would have been the 99, 2000s, right?
No, you're thinking of Be Cool that came out in 2003.
No, honestly, David Paymer, what I'm thinking about is Ocean's 13, let's be honest.
And we've covered Ocean's 13 in a very special episode. It's cyclical. How you doing, Sejohn? What's going on today, my host companion?
I have so many different things that we need to talk about with this movie.
And that's fair. That's very fair. So, to catch you up, right, the story so far, we decided to look at the Tom Arnold Trilogy of 1996 in celebration of its 30th anniversary. And as
plus it's only fair.
Yeah.
It's only fair because we did do it, for Jim Carrey. So, of course, we also had to do it for Tom Arnold.
Yes. Well, I was getting to that. Yeah. And since we looked at the Jim Carrey trilogy of 1994 and the Ben Affleck trilogy of 2003, possibly 2002, 2003. It was 2003. It felt right to give Tom Arnold his proper. So right now we're in our third entry, which is about the film Carpool. And much like Big Bully and The Stupids before it.
Sorry, that as you walk through the Say Report Museum, as you go past the giant penny, you get to the Tom Arnold exhibit. And you get to the exhibit, and you get to the point at the end where we put him on a pedestal, on the same pedestal as Jim Carrey and Ben Affleck.
We didn't do it. We did not do it. I just want to be abundantly clear to anybody who's listening. We didn't put him on that same pedestal. Hollywood put him on that same pedestal.
I would argue that the world did not put him on a pedestal in the same way that they did with Jim Carrey and Ben Affleck in that regard. So I think that we're all pretty safe on this one, guys. No one is to blame. This is mean to Tom Arnold. Because I got to be honest, 3 movies in, I actually do not mind Tom Arnold.
Dude, and I've been teasing from the beginning the fact that this is going to turn into the Tom Arnold quintology. But that's more next year. But Sejohn's not wrong. Sejohn isn't wrong. On this show, if you walk through the museum, we did dedicate 3 episodes to 3 Tom Arnold movies that all came out in the same year. And the really crazy thing is the fearful symmetry, not with the Ben Affleck trilogy. I really do wish that in one of these Tom Arnold had been a vigilante. In another, he had made a lesbian turn straight for him. Turkey time, gobble gobble. And he developed a machine that allowed him to see over the curvature of the earth into the future. No. The fearful symmetry is with the Jim Carrey trilogy. Because the first film, Big Bully, is a real, just wild, surreal, like magical realism, fantastic journey, a la Ace Ventura. The second film, The Stupids, is an adaptation of past media, this being the book The Stupids, and The Mask being an adaptation of the Dark Horse comic. And now we come to the road comedy that is literally holding up a mirror to Dumb and Dumber. I wish I were fucking kidding, but dear God, man.
I mean, to be fair, sorry, I'm just over here choking on the. I can't believe that this is where we're at with Tom Arnold. Sorry. No, I think the bigger thing, and perhaps I would have to go back and watch Dumb and Dumber because I don't remember feeling this so much with Dumb and Dumber, but so much of this movie felt like Blues Brothers. You had the mall scene, you had the cop pile up, you know what I mean? Like there was a lot. You have the genuine idea of like this guy on the run that you're actually rooting for, right? Like the cops are not necessarily the good guys in this story. Like there was so much of the Blues Brothers kind of. It felt like a movie made by somebody that watched a lot of Blues Brothers growing up.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
put it that way.
I don't disagree. There's a lot of other movies in this movie. This does feel very homage-y to past cinema. I'll agree with that. And yes, Blues Brothers certainly gets the name check more than once in this whole thing. But like also think about the like reluctantly involved in a scheme sort of thing that David Paymer does. Like the inciting incident for this movie is fucking insane. That's what I'm gonna call it.
So contrived. It is convenience upon like it becomes farcical, which I think is the point, right? But I think we'll get to it anyway.
But it honestly felt like watching them drive around in the minivan and just and the fact that like they're on the run from the cops and they're also on the run from criminals and one of them's like they're such a weird like little duo of things. I don't know. I just could not avoid the fact that it just felt so much like I was just like,
yeah,
how did I do this? How did we do this? Because I gotta tell you guys, this was not the plan. The plan was, I really liked the movie Big Bully. Even though I had never seen it tip to tail. I like the opening because the opening is fucking insane. And I like the waterfall scene. Like, that was the extent of Big Bully before we did a whole Big Bully episode earlier this year. And I'm like, I like Big Bully, and I also like McHale's Navy. And when we started the Say Report, I made a blood oath to Will that we would cover Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery for its 30th anniversary. And
I still, to this day, am convinced we've already done an episode on that movie.
We haven't. I know that I understand exactly where you're coming from with that.
My God, man, what did you eat?
Could I get a courtesy flush? Thank you. That's appreciated. Yeah. So it's like, well, like that doesn't work. The connective tissue between Sejohn and I both having like reverence for Big Bully for very different reasons. And then reverence for McHale's Navy. And then having to make good on a promise to Will, like, that doesn't work. That doesn't neatly fit together. Let's look at what else came out around Big Bully. And oh my fucking God, Tom Arnold had 3 movies in 1996, just like Jim Carrey 2 years earlier? Knock me over with a feather.
Yeah, man. And, you know, I get it. I get why they don't land. I get why he does not become Jim Carrey. Like, I see that, right? I think, honestly, the biggest thing that I take away now after watching all 3 of these movies is, like, he's so, as an actor, Tom Arnold is earnest to the point where, he's not playing Ernest, but he's earnest to the point that he is kind of unbelievable sometimes in these roles, right? I love this, like, this bit that he does in all 3 of these movies where the weird shit happens and he is nonplussed, right? Like something will just completely get thrown at him. Like in this movie, anytime that kid fucking talks to him, the kid in the shower, Froggy, is that his name? What is his name?
Froggy is his name in The Little Rascals, featuring Doug Hall from last movie with Tom Arnold. No,
he's also the kid in he's also the kid with Rick Moranis in Little Giants, isn't he? Isn't he the kid that can't?
I don't know.
Like it shows up in pads and stuff. I might be misremembering that. But.
Jordan Warcall is his name. He is 11 months younger than me, if I just want to like turn to dust right now. He's in an episode of Sliders, the Electric Twister Acid Test, which is not a great episode of Sliders. But in terms of like an episode of Sliders from season 3, it's a memorable one. I think that I gotta look at that right now. I've been thinking about Jerry O'Connell all day. Yeah, that's the episode that features Corey Feldman as well. With the like weird, it's a desert wasteland. It's after the timer got switched out with the female Quinn earlier in season 2, like near the end of season 2. So the slide radius is wider, which meant that they didn't have to shoot in San Francisco anymore. They could just shoot in LA. Like, just some contrivances going on. He is not in Little Giants, but I understand why you would think that.
It's that character, right? We need the weird kid, right? But the lovable kid.
He's not weird, Sejohn. They had him tested.
Fucking wild movie. Yeah, but all of this is to say, like, I think that he is really earnest in the characters that he plays. But it's kind of like, I was thinking a little bit about like having recently seen Scary Movie 6, like whenever Shaq shows up, and then I thought back to actually what it really makes me think of is back in the day in the 90s, whenever you would have George Clinton show up, right? PCU, Good Burger, that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Anytime George Clinton showed up, you wanted him to be George Clinton. You didn't want him to be something else. And the ways in which he performed George Clinton were earnest, because he's just playing himself, to the point where he doesn't feel like he's in a movie anymore and everybody else is, which makes him stick out like a sore thumb, right? And it works in small doses. George Clinton shows up for a couple of scenes in PCU, we all love it, right? I don't think it works when you're trying to pitch that as the leading man. He feels like he's it feels like Tom Arnold is consistently in a version of Pleasantville.
So, like, the really weird thing is that this is the last film that released in 1996 that featured Tom Arnold. This film came out, I had the date right there, August 23rd, 1996.
This movie came out and they said, shut it all down, we're done for the year. Cinema has been achieved.
But, like, it's as if Warner Brothers just wasn't paying attention to what happened with Big Bully or The Stupids, because this film, he is credited before the director. Like, before it says a Arthur Hiller film, a film by Arthur Hiller, I actually think is what it says, Tom Arnold is credited. So it's like, they're so proud of the fact that they got Tom Arnold in this movie. And honestly, before we go back to your theory about how earnestly he just approaches his roles, like, this film is the best Tom Arnold that we see in 1996. And the reason
I agree with that.
Yeah. The reason I say that is Tom Arnold understands what's going on in this movie. His complaints from Big Bully and The Stupids that he just didn't understand, like, why is this funny? Why is this not the script that it was when I signed on for this? That's reverse, like, chronological order. The whole time on The Stupids, he's like, why is this funny? And then on Big Bully, when he signed on for it, it had a lot of heart, and that heart was like slowly chipped away as they turned it
to make like a weird Cape Fear parody. Yeah.
You know, Cape Fear parody, homage to Stephen King, that, like, let's completely forget about the heart and the message of this movie. That's still there. We definitely found it in our episode.
Yeah. Well, it's there because you had guys like Rick Moranis and Tom Arnold who wanted it to be.
Who wanted it to still be there.
And in a weird way, I think that he elevates, especially Big Bully. I think Tom Arnold, I think it's fair to say he elevates that movie. I don't think that, you know, it's like saying he polishes a turd. I'm not trying to, like, say that movie somehow becomes like a masterpiece because of anything that he does, but I don't think that movie would be nearly as tolerable, watchable, enjoyable to me at the levels that it's at if it was not for him, right? I mean, like, you know, let's all be honest. I was there for Rick Moranis. Always have been, always will be. And, like, I love the 90s kind of weird comedy, like it feels like it's aimed at adults, but then there's so much weird shit in it that you're like, this is only funny to kids. But it's because they knew that, like, yeah, parents want to still go to the movies, but like, we got to do something to keep the kids interested, and vice versa. Like, hey, yeah, we want kids to come see this movie, but now that we know that parents are also going to be there, what can we do for them, right? It was that era. It was the end of the '90s where we were trying to kind of, I mean, to be honest, like, we made everything super bland in order to mass market it. You know, and that's what this movie is. That's kind of what Big Bully ends up becoming. And The Stupids isn't bland, but the thing about The Stupids is that it's so weird. It should have been like an indie film.
Yeah. The fact that it's John Landis is insane.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Like, really, it's insane.
It's the 90s, man. Anybody can make any movie they want.
But
90s.
You also say that, but it's also a New Line Cinema film. It is a quote independent distributor. Like, I know that they're
especially at that time.
At that time, that's what they were doing. They were buying the undistributable and eventually distributing it. So like it's crazy because it's distributed like it's an indie film, but the pedigree behind it's insane. With John Landis and it being a secret sequel to Animal House. Like, that's it. So
right.
But then we come to this one. We come to Carpool. And this film, like, Tom Arnold gets it. Tom Arnold, the reason he's able to be so earnest is because he's not constantly questioning this film, the direction of this film. Why am I doing this? Why would I do this? This film makes sense to him from start to finish. And then as Sejohn just brought up, that's to the detriment of the film. Because Tom Arnold is so comfortable in the role of Franklin Laszlo that just like he comes across too earnest in this way that, like, how are you not understanding what's going on around you? In this way that he feels as oblivious as the Stupids character.
What it becomes is a man that he's so earnest. He's being so Tom Arnold in the role that he knows he's in a movie. He is so just being himself to the point that he knows that cameras are rolling and there's an audience. So there's no moment where it's not that the movie doesn't have stakes presented. He never acts like there are stakes at any point in this movie. There is never a moment where he is worried about what's going to happen to him. And that is off-putting. As like an audience member watching this story about a man that kidnaps 5 kids, to see him never at any moment think, am I the bad guy? Even when the movie literally has a scene where Paymer just fucking is like, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy. And he's
good
like,
guy, bad guy.
Funny.
Good guy, bad guy. And the kids join in. So you think, like, are they getting it, or are they just having fun parroting how freaking paranoid Paymer is in this moment?
They are 100% just happy to be, like, giving him shit rather than actually buying into what he's saying. No, of course. And, you know, like, there is supposed to be this element. I mean, let's be fair. This is another weird script. I got to give it to Tom Arnold. I think one of the biggest things that I had overlooked about him, and like this is the mea culpa on my part in 2026. I did not really give him enough credit for the fact that he went for the weird shit. I mean, even in future films we're going to talk about, True Lies and all that. Like he made some interesting choices as somebody trying to break into this career. Like, he didn't make the family comedy where he plays the dad, right? I mean, hell, one of the first times I ever saw him was Roseanne, and he's not great as a the character is not a great person on that show, right? Like, and so like there's a lot to like be said about the fact that like he made some bold choices when he got started, and maybe it didn't pay off for him in terms of the acting career, but he's still a personality today. And honestly, I don't know much about the dude, but he seems very happy with his like sports commentator career that he's basically gone on for the last decade and a half.
Not only that, he's still working. Like up until new Toy Story 2026, which I'm fairly certain is, you know, to make it so that your grandmother thinks that she's buying the new Toy Story movie at the checkout at the Stop and Shop, right? but he's in that as Ozzy. I don't know what that means, but it looks like he's the lead. In this,
no, I mean, look, this is two dudes, like him and Paymer, right? Like, are two dudes that work. They fucking work. Like the amount of stuff that they show up on. I mean, like Paymer was in film. He was doing television. He was directing. It was like he never fucking stopped. We got to talk about like his career someday.
I'd love to, yeah.
but we've pointed this out about Tom Arnold, is that like one of the things about the dude is that he just keeps going. Like, no matter what, like, even if the hits keep coming, he still gets up and keeps going. So again, like, it's a big kind of realization for me, like, sitting down and doing this project of watching over these movies over the same year, like, and realizing, like, what this guy actually went through at that time, right? Because, like, from the other side of this, I, as a kid at this time, am very aware of all of these movies. You know, we've talked about this. I've actually... Carpool has a very weird place in my heart. I think I mentioned once because of its connection, weirdly to me, to Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag.
Yeah, fair, understandable. You need to elaborate on that, but
well, I mean, rewatching the movie today, I actually kind of started to get it, like why somebody thought to do this. But I had you know, you end up involved in families when you date around, and people come, you know, some people get close to you in that process, and you end up with some weird connections, right? So like one Christmas when I must have been like 14, 15 years old, so it would have been like the early 2000s, and like I am at this Christmas, like it's the first time I'm at this Christmas with a longtime girlfriend, with her family and extended family and all that, and there's apparently not a tradition, but like it is not uncommon in the family for them to give gifts like pretty deep down the line, right? I don't know if I would have bought a gift. I don't think I did, but I also got away with it because again, I was 14 at the time. But like I was like 3 people removed from this dude, right? And he gave me a gift, and what he had done that year, because apparently this was just a thing he was super into at the time, which I think we all were, was burning movies, right? He had burned me a double-sided disc of Carpool and Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. And so I just had these 2 movies. I think that at some point I had definitely talked about Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag because it was for a movie that I have probably not mentioned much on the show in our time recording.
We did a whole episode talking about it. We did a whole episode.
That might be why, is we basically burned my material. Yeah. Is what we did.
Well, it's not that we burned your material, because it's not like it wasn't like this. It wasn't like a very special episode. It wasn't a focal point, but like it was that year that I was just watching a shit ton of movies, and Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag happened to be one of the ones I watched, and I talked about how cool it was that they like decided to invent slang for that movie. Now I'm thinking about things to do in Denver when you're dead. I'm the fucking idiot here. I apologize. We've never talked about Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. You and I have on a road trip. It's definitely been a topic you and I have had. It's one of those movies.
Yeah, it doesn't bubble to the surface often, but if I were to sit back and talk about that film, I have some pretty happy, fun, and creative memories all tied to that movie, right? Like, it really informed a lot about what I did. So I don't doubt that I talked about that movie. So I'm not surprised he gave me that movie. Carpool was a fucking wild swing. I must have at some point mentioned liking it. Like, we must have been watching it one day, like the back half on a Saturday afternoon or some shit, and I must have said something about enjoying it, and it stuck. You know, it's that thing, like, when you tell grandma how much you like fire trucks, and then when you're like 10 years older, she's still giving you fire trucks, that kind of shit. I must have just said something at some point. So he gave me this 2-sided disc. For the longest time, I had these movies, and whenever I was, you know, looking to put something on and going through the collection, like, I would sometimes throw this on, but I always had to, at the same time, acknowledge the existence of the film Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. It got to the point where, like, going into Hollywood Video, I would see one or the other and forget which one was which.
That's incredible. That is... apparently, I've never seen Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag. It's Pesci, right? Pesci with
it's Pesci.
Okay,
and the idea is that he is a hitman that ends up in a car going across country with a family that he is technically holding hostage. I'm trying to remember if the whole family knows or if it's just the guy, but he's holding them hostage in order for him to get across the country to deliver these 8 heads in a duffel bag, which are supposed to be like proof of life for like a big payout, right? Or proof of non-life, I guess, but for a big payout, right? Like, but so there's some weird similarities there too.
I was going to say, that sounds a lot like this dude just... Carpool.
I know. So part of me also wonders if this dude just took a fucking swing and just happened to hit.
Well, we heard you like 8 heads in a duffel bag. Have you considered Carpool?
Yeah. But like, there is, there is something about this idea, like, late 90s, we're starting to look at the idea of the anti-hero in earnest, right? Like, it's not that the character didn't exist before. You can go all the way back to fucking, like, Dirty Harry, Charles Bronson, even before that, right? Like the anti-hero was always something kind of in the water. But I think film scholars and fans would agree that we hit a real era in like the 2000s where like having the like giving the bad guy an understandable purpose, right? Giving the, making it so that the good guy's doing the good things, but maybe for the wrong reasons type shit. We fell in love with that kind of stuff when it came to this point. We talked about Get Shorty already, and that's a movie full of that.
Chili
right?
Palmer's a hitman. That's his character.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a hitman, and you're rooting for him. Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
It definitely started in the 90s, and it reaches its apex in the 2000s. I'm going to time out real quick on this. I love where we're going with this. But now in 2026, have you seen Supergirl yet? I know we're not really going to pause to talk about it, but have you seen Supergirl yet?
No, I have not seen it yet.
That's fine. This is barely a spoiler, but just in case. All of the complaints about Supergirl that I keep hearing are that the bad guy was just bad to be bad. And that is killing me, Sejohn. It is killing me that that's the complaint that people have about the villain from Supergirl, when 3 weeks earlier in Masters of the Universe, everybody was praising Skeletor for just being evil for the sake of being evil. Like, shitting their pants over the fact that Skeletor, he doesn't have some deeper backstory. He just likes being the bad guy. So I don't know what happened in 3 weeks.
Both of those movies had such small audiences, there actually is a good chance that it isn't a crossover audience.
You bring up a very good point. But I'm just like, what are you talking about?
No, let's rip the Band-Aid off on this one right now. Are you talking about the fact that they think Lobo should have some type of great
No.
Because that's insane.
That's absolutely insane.
That's all.
There are complaints about Lobo in this film where I'm just like, hi, tell me you don't know Lobo. I mean, the craziest thing, I'm not going to name check the person, but I listened to somebody's review of the film, and they're like, Supergirl has found herself... This is not a spoiler, because this is not what happens in the movie. Supergirl has found herself on a planet that has 2 suns, a yellow sun and a red sun. So during the red sometimes, she can get wasted, and then she wakes up to the yellow sun, and boom, no more hangover. And I'm like, how can you claim that you're going to review this movie when you have completely invented, like, a scenario for this film? Like, that's like,
Jesus.
that lack of media literacy blows my mind.
That's not media literacy, that's lying. We sent somebody intern to watch this movie, and then they relayed it to me as I typed it.
No,
that's what that's like.
It's a creator. I'd put them, like, slightly above us. They have a Patreon. We don't have a Patreon. That's just a moment. But they have a Patreon, and they have...
one of the biggest things that's going on in that world right now is fucking AI is a cancer, man.
Yep.
Like, so...
Yeah, but they're like our level, though. They have a Patreon with people who contribute monthly. So I'd actually say they're a little higher than this. It's not like IGN had some intern play a game and they completely, like, didn't understand the mechanics of the game. It would be like if I went and saw a movie and was like, the Smurfs are a group of green characters, 4 pairs tall, and they're being chased by, like, Gamelgar. Like,
I 100% would ask if you were an AI at that point.
yeah, right? Like, it's just like, so AI could be a thing, but that would also really cripple this particular creator's, like, whole vibe about, I can't go deeper into it. This is, like, for an actual episode. I want to talk about Carpool, but, like, see, like, that was something I heard.
A movie distinctly not written by AI. I will give it credit there.
Yeah. Right?
There's just random shit that happens in this movie that you might think, oh, this could have been a computer. But no, because the choice is so weird, it couldn't fucking possibly be. Why do they not introduce the fact that he runs a circus before they introduce the circus people? It is such a choice to have this group of people show up that are clearly coded to be circus people, and then, like, it's never quite said in the moment. There's a Ringling Brothers joke, but then it's not a Ringling Brothers joke, right? Like, it's some weird fucking Little Rascals talking about that again. Like, it's fucking
Wingling Brothers have called me. The Wingling Brothers. No, in their defense, they tried and failed to fix it with ADR, because his mother.
Oh, the ADR. Oh my God, the
ADR in this movie is fucking terrible. Go ahead. His mother, as he's coming down the stairs, says, "I don't know where you're going. You know they shut down the carnival." And then when the carnival-coded individuals show up at the house, she goes, "Remember, those are carnies. They steal." And it's like, if you're not paying attention, like, that's not enough of an establishing that this guy runs a carnival for the scene that then happens.
No, honestly, what it looks like is he owes money to a bunch of carnival folk, right? Like, they show up and it almost looks like they're there to beat the shit out of him for it. No, like, there's so many weird things in that moment. The dog boy, that moment with the dog boy might be one of the creepiest moments I've seen in cinema. Like, it reminded me of the moment that you see Buffalo Bill in the basement through the night, like, vision goggles.
The night vision goggles.
In Silence of the Lambs. Like, it was that level of just, like, unease. Like, it's not a jump scare, it's not like in your face, like, but I thought for a second I might have been watching Freaked by accident.
Dude, let me tell you something, though. That is so intentional. You say it's not a jump scare, it's a jump scare, because they show you Esmeralda, who for all intent and purposes is the bearded woman in the sideshow at this carnival. But
who is that playing her, by the way?
That is a really good question.
She reminded me so much of oh God, what is her name? She's so good in the not the prophecy movies, in the Poltergeist movies. This house is clean.
Zelda is, what is her name? Yeah. I love her. She's also in Teen Witch. It's not her. Yes, so it's not her, because she's oh God, is she credited?
Child, you got the magic in you.
Mary McDonald plays, quote, the bearded woman, which is crazy.
It's so good.
Because all of the characters, like, it's Lydia the Human Gold, Jake the Fire Eater, and then bearded woman strongman. Like, okay, that's fun that we just decided not to give. She's under a big sign that says Esmeralda. So Esmeralda, right before the dog-faced boy, like, jumps up and legitimately is supposed to be a scare, you see her. She's clearly meant to be the bearded woman in the sideshow from this carnival, but she's, like, dressed in, like she's culturally appropriated Asian culture, and her facial hair is styled like a Fu Manchu.
Yes, it is.
So you're looking at Esmeralda and you're like, what? Like, why did you put a hat on a hat? Like, you are so distracted by the costume and like the makeup choices that they put on their bearded woman that then suddenly the dog-faced boy shows up and you're like, what the fuck is happening? You're not.
To be clear, this is a 2-minute bit in this movie, in the beginning of the film, that these characters never come back.
I mean, they're in the last scene, but they don't talk.
Oh, that's again. True. They don't do anything. They're just there at the circus
because they're at the carnival. Yeah. Like, so they're performing.
But, like, that's the payoff. You meet these people. You're somehow then by the end of this movie supposed to give a shit.
You get such great. There are some really good moments though of, like, we came to give you back the money. oh, guys, you didn't have to do that. Yeah, we did. It bounced. And it's just like,
No, the comedy in this movie is on my level. I will say this, from a script perspective, the jokes in this movie are Sejohn level jokes. I am so on board for that shit. Like that kind of humor, right? The Ringling Brothers, Wingling Brothers joke is
so
like,
good.
So I love that shit.
I like the fire eater eating his check. I think that scene worked for me.
That was good.
So good.
That was amazing. There is a scene in this movie that legitimately made me cackle in a way that I don't think I've laughed like that genuinely at a movie in a long time. Like it felt good. And it was the bathroom scene when he's got his hand on him and they're talking about like baseball and all that shit. And then specifically the moment when he says, "Oh, I'm a switch hitter," and changes hands. And Paymer looks so disgusted in that moment. I just laughed my ass off. It's like there are jokes in this movie that work. There are just also jokes in this movie that are so upsetting.
So I was going to bring up the bathroom scene because I don't talk about it on this show nearly enough for it being an actual thing that I did while we were in school. And that is Jay and Devin's much better movie than Juno. The made in 24 hours parody of
Episode
Juno.
500, I'm just saying, maybe we could...
I'd have to dig it up. I'd have to find it. I know it's with my PS3 games. Like, that is what I could tell you about that film. Episode 500, maybe. But there's a moment in it. So that whole thing, I'll try to give, like, the quickest version of it. Jay and I, our friend Jay, I knew him from high school, but then he ended up going to our college. And I was assigned to be his mentor of, like, all people. He's now in a commercial. Like, whenever I watched The Real Housewives of Rhode Island, there was a commercial for, like, kitchen redesign, and it's him and his wife who are in the commercial, prompting the joke, Jay is my favorite Real Housewife of Rhode Island.
Are they like happy customers? Like,
oh, they're like they're talking about how great the experience was. They came in, nice. They gave us exactly. It's a good commercial. I'll send it to you because like I've sent it to Will, so I can send it to you. But we both worked at Hollywood Video, right? Like this kid, like the fact that he was my mentee and I like led his life as crazily as I did is just crazy to me. Because I got him a job at Hollywood Video where I was working. So we used to work.
Clearly, you didn't do too bad by the boy.
No, I didn't. Right?
But anyway,
and let's talk about like we've done a Princess Bride episode, we've done an Enchanted episode. Those are movies we used to watch every Tuesday night when we were working together. And on Tuesdays, because it was new release day, it was the day that we had to change the like coming soon tag. And that humble night, Juno was coming soon. We had to put Juno up there. And we're like, you know what we're going to do just for tonight? We'll change it before tomorrow. We made a little like stand-in placard that said Jay and Devin's much better movie than Juno. Because we got two of them. So we just added Jay and Devin's much better movie than, and then the actual Juno was there. And we had it up like all night. And like I'd say 1 out of every 3 parties asked us about it. Because like you have regulars at a video store. So we saw the same people every Tuesday. So they're like, oh, what is that? And it's like, oh, it's our movie. And we assure you it's much better than Juno. But then like people like, because again, you have regulars would come in and they're like, when are we going to get to see your guys' movie? When are you going to do that movie? When are you going to do that movie? So like we decided to shoot the movie. Now, I
don't know if anybody else has picked up on this trend yet, but Devin's life is a series of somebody saying, chicken. And he's like, nobody calls a Decker chicken.
I'm Marty McFly in so many ways that I wasn't aware of. Asexual, non-threatening? That's Devin Decker. No, I don't know.
I'm just saying, go back and listen to a classic Adam Sandler Cinematic Universe episode or two, and you'll know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, that's why we did the Adam Sandler. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. You know what, though? I'll say this. My life has not been boring, taking any dare that comes my way. But if you've seen Juno, like, there's a whole setup where she's going to take the pregnancy test. And then in this film, take a pregnancy test. And it was this very weirdly intimate moment where it's just me and the cameraman in the bathroom, and I'm standing at a urinal peeing on a pregnancy test. And I thought about how I played that scene as just like this super somber moment, like this is the real like aw shucks, the aw ick moment of the movie is me taking this pregnancy test. And then I'm watching Tom Arnold in that bathroom, and Sejohn saying that like Tom Arnold is like aware that he's in a movie. And it is nowhere more apparent than the fact that he is playing for an imaginary audience in that bathroom. That's not how normal people go to the bathroom.
I think there might be something too, and this is me very much reading into it. So like this is speculation like to high heaven. But this idea that like I think there's something going on where they're waiting for the kid to go and he's taking a couple of moments. And so I think he kind of does what he's doing in order to kind of like give the kid some cover. But then the joke being that when he finishes, the kid then goes on for like another like 2 minutes. Like speaking of Austin Powers, right? Like, but like he just keeps going. So I think there was supposed to be something in that. I don't think that is actually supposed to be like, this is what he needs every time he goes to the bathroom. No, I think that got lost in the sauce because of the ways in which they clearly just let him off the chain for that moment.
I mean, he does a little bit where he's like, I'm a little bit pee shy. So the fact that like his character in that moment, Franklin, has to have David Paymer in there, because if he leaves David Paymer unattended, he will contact the police, right? Or he will run. So he has to, Paymer's really the only hostage in this whole situation. So like he makes him put his hand on his shoulder while he's using the bathroom, and he holds it with his other hand, which prompts the whole I'm a switch hitter thing. So he grabs his hand with, dick hands, for lack of a better term. And then the great joke where another man tries to come into the bathroom, he's like, ooh, conga line. Like, that's all very funny. Like, that's funny enough before Tom Arnold...
Well, especially because their reaction is no thank you. Yeah, like, it's not like neither of them is even disgusted at the thought of you know what I mean? Like, so it's this weird kind of wholesome moment, just in retrospect of looking back in 1996 and seeing a joke like that and it not being the bit of the joke of them being like grossed out by it, right?
Yeah, like they're just like, no, that's not what this is. There's a child in here. Like, go away, conga line man. We'll talk later. Give us your phone number.
Yeah, exactly. There's even that great moment later when they pretend to be a couple when they're talking to the cop. And I got to be honest, I did kind of lose for a moment where it had come from. I realized eventually it was the paint on the car, right? Yeah, that's what the whole bit is. But like, there was a moment where I was just like, was that guy eating a donut before this scene? What is happening? I don't know. That moment later where they pretend to be a couple,
where he pretends to be a couple, very silly, and he doesn't lean into it too much. Like, sure, he puts on the wife's like scarf and the feminine glasses,
but that's more to hide his face.
That's more to hide his identity than anything else. It's not like he puts on like a high pitched, super effeminate voice. He's not like overly touchy with David Paymer. It's played so respectfully in the fact especially for 96, right? The height of gay panic in the 90s.
Right.
It is played so well. And I'm glad that we're talking about it. And that scene in the bathroom, I'm like, I remember when I peed on camera, and I'm just like, I just have to do this. This is just a thing I have to do. And meanwhile, Tom Arnold, it's like, hi, it's my first time at the Comedy Cellar. I hope you like my tight 5 minutes. I'm going to sing Oh Shenandoah a little bit. I'm going to try to think about baseball to get me going.
Oh, man.
It's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Him and Paymer just have some really good, good chemistry, but there's something very specifically about like a really good rhythm. Like they know when to butt in with each other, when to talk over each other, because there's clearly moments in this movie where they are just kind of just bickering, right? Like it's not in this script, right? You can even hear it in the kids sometimes, and I gotta be honest, kids actually in this movie pretty good for kid actors in the 90s. I was ready for the worst until I saw Rachel Leigh Cook's name, and then I was like, okay, at least there'll be one good kid actor in this. But but like the kids there are pretty decent. The little one there, what's her name? That Emily, is that
Chelsea.
her name? The one that is super slow, Chelsea. She is actually, that moment at the end where she's like, I'm also getting out with them, but it takes me too long to get out and back in, so I'm just gonna stay here.
Yeah, and then Rachel Leigh Cook is Kayla going, same, like
same.
Like they're gonna end up back in the car, so we're not gonna waste our time getting out of the car.
Yeah,
right here.
But you just, you have all of this, just like this really good stuff going on, and I don't know, man. Like Tom Arnold is just in the middle of it all, just buying it. He's just buying every piece of it. And
you know what?
It is fun to watch, but also hard for me to like elevate in any way, like it feels very much like, and that's not fair, right? Like I say that because I want to point out the fact that I know that that's not fair, right? It's that idea that he's making it look so easy that I almost don't want to give him credit, which I think is a hard fucking thing to actually do. It's a fine line to walk, right? To be able to be that kind of actor. Because like I think about the guys that succeed at that are guys like Christopher Walken or Morgan Freeman, where they can just come into a role and you're just happy it's them. You don't, whatever they do with the character, you trust they're going to get there, they're going to, and all of that. But on top of that, you also get to hear Morgan Freeman. You also get to hear Christopher Walken, right? And so, like, there are guys that do make a career out of that. I don't want to act like that's not a viable path. It just doesn't quite land with enough people for Tom Arnold, I guess.
Well, it is legitimately the argument of don't get high in your own supply. Because if Tom Arnold is so busy buying into the script, buying into the character, buying into what he's doing from moment to moment, there's no room for him to sell it. There's no product left for him to be like selling to the audience. So weirdly, we're not involved in this transaction, but we're still there. Like, we're still present, witnessing this thing happen. And then, like, for people like us who, like, have worked with many different actors, like, face to face, you've directed, right? Like, you have director experience.
Yes.
Like, so you and we can realize this is really good acting, but it, like, somebody needed to tell him, and now we need to focus, like, you need to pull back you need to consider that there's an audience here. Like, I get, like, you're playing as if there's an audience, but, like, it's almost, like, to the detriment of that audience. It's like you hate the audience. Sometimes you just need to convey simple points about the film to the audience.
Yeah. I wonder, like, I wonder how much of it comes from this idea that I don't know if acting was what he was aiming for, much in the same way that I don't feel like acting was what Jim Carrey was aiming for. I think comedy was, but to him that could have meant acting, or that could have just meant a comedy club every night, or that could have meant some beloved children's show or something. Like, he just wanted to be funny, right? And I think that's kind of the same thing with Tom Arnold, is that he's a guy that has a very specific level that he wants to be at all times, and he wants part of that to involve comedy, humor. So, like, he comes in and does these things, but, like, it never gets anywhere. There's a reason I think we don't see Jim Gaffigan in a lot of films, that kind of thing. And a lot of the criticisms I've heard about Nick Bernanke, is that how you say his name?
Nate Bernatz. Or
Nate, but his latest film that people are just kind of really having some complicated feelings about, because it feels like it is a movie from the 90s, but at the same time it comes with a lot of problems in that regard. A lot of the humor, from what I understand, is a lot of like, I'm a dad, I don't know what kids do.
He did a Mr. Mom, and he refused to call it Mr. Mom. That's like my favorite complaint about the movie. Nate Bargatze, by the way, is how you say that. Thank you. Yeah. And like my favorite complaint, and it's from other comedians, is like,
what is the film's name?
The Breadwinner.
The Breadwinner, right?
And
yes,
like people are like, so it's just Mr. Mom. Like, he literally was like, I'm gonna remake Mr. Mom, but then he didn't call it Mr. Mom, and like people are mad about that, and it's like, I don't understand people. Like, I know that, like, this has suddenly become the soapbox I'm standing on in this episode about Carpool, of all fucking movies.
Yeah. It's clearly a daddy daycare. Sorry.
No, a daddy daycare means that there are other people supporting him. If anything, it's an Uncle Buck. But... but it's like one of those situations where, like, yes, it's very similar to something like Mr. Mom, but if he had just called it Mr. Mom, people would be like, oh, did we really need a Mr. Mom remake in 2026? Like, he tried to do everything he could to avoid that specific criticism, and then what eked through around the edges was like, he just remade Mr. Mom, why not call it Mr. Mom? Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, audiences suck. Like, look, I don't think the movie's great. I have not seen it, so I can't really say that one way or the other, but I'm not probably ever going to see it. Maybe if it's on a plane or some shit. But, like, there's this idea that I also don't, the weird criticisms about it, I don't agree with those either, right? Like, and that happens a lot these days, right?
Oh my God, the weird criticisms for everything. But let's get back to Carpool, because, yeah, like,
a movie universally panned.
So yeah, it's. I don't think that So when I think about Tom Arnold, my favorite Tom Arnold roles are not roles where he's supposed to be funny. Like, seriously, as much as I think that Carpool was the most movie of the 3 Tom Arnold films that we watched, this sure. had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end. And it took a pretty convoluted route through those things, but, like, it felt as if I got told a story. Where, like, Big Bully...
As even keel as he is, I do feel like he maybe learned something in this movie, right? And he grew a little bit by the end of this film. Not much, but again, more than I think you could say in something like Big Bully or definitely The Stupids. There is no character. I mean, I think written into the concept of the film.
Yeah, that film is a bunch of skits and sketches that are based on 4 children's books that, by all accounts, seem to be.
And it's not funny.
Now.
It's not funny if Mr. Stupid becomes smart at the end. That's not fun.
No, you don't want like that. That can't be what his problem was. It can't be
right, exactly.
Like, it's funny that he becomes smart in the middle of the movie and then loses that clarity and the plot continues. Like, that's funny.
Okay, we gotta focus, because now we're gonna just do the Stupids.
No, we're not gonna do the Stupids. But I'm gonna like. But this one feels like it. Big Bully felt like it was telling a pretty good story until it turned into a slasher flick. A monster movie, like, straight off goes off the deep end into horror. Like, Big Bully has some real interesting stuff there. Like, I still think that it is a great psychological case study of, like, the whole trope of, you thought I was your bully, I thought we were friends. Because, like you were there. I
also have a theory.
Yeah.
I also have a theory now, after watching Tom Arnold in 3 different movies, going back and thinking about that film. I almost feel like that is made out of spite. Like it feels like Tom Arnold walks on the set, says a couple of things about how he doesn't quite get what's going on, and, like, the writers and director take it, like, so personally that they start making a worse movie for him to be in. Like, it feels like it is so aimed at making specifically him and his character be so all over the place, so confusing, so that there's no way that, especially for somebody so early in his acting career, that he'd have the ability to grasp any aspect of that character. It feels malicious.
I will sign off on that, especially because when you listen to what Tom Arnold had to say about his time on the Big Bully set, like, it felt like every day it moved further and further away from the film I had signed on for. Like, that's a legitimate thing he said about that movie. So, yeah, I would totally co-sign what you're presenting right there, Sejohn. Sorry. So then, when I look at Carpool, and it is the most movie of them, and while Big Bully did have some nice moments, like, because Carpool's a movie, like, there's actual plot, and there's actual character growth, and yes, Tom Arnold, like, he learns some things, but the David Paymer story and what he learns is incredible. Like,
Yeah.
when he goes, spoilers for Big Bully, not for, well, I guess spoilers for Big Bully. No, spoilers for Carpool. His whole character of Daniel Miller, he's upset that he has to do the carpool because he's trying to get to work for this big presentation to the grocery store Hammerman's, which is a gourmet grocery store. And we can talk about that more once we get to the resolution of this film. But that's his whole thing. And we see that his sons, Andrew and Bucky, like, resent him because by all accounts, he prioritizes work over his family. And that also comes from the mother, right? Their mom saying to him, I'm not asking you to raise them as your own. I just want you to drive the carpool before you go to work. Like, that's a fucking loaded sentence. Like, I'm not asking
as 80 yard as it was, yes.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Her entire moment at the beginning of this movie is ruined because the fucking room tone on Paymer and her are so out of sync that, like, she sounds almost like she's in, like, a foreign film and dubbing in English.
Dude, if the next time somebody says they don't understand the Oscar for achievement in sound mixing, I'm gonna show them any scene from fucking Carpool. The mix in this movie was terrible. Yeah. I found myself riding the volume on my television the whole movie for fear that it would, like, legitimately damage my equipment. Cause
how when, so they mentioned that there is a dude here that is in charge of the music composed and conducted by, I think is the exact quote they give for him. But, like, does he also get to choose stuff like the mix and stuff? No, that's going to be some other department entirely.
Yeah, that's
like, sound engineering is not under that, right? I would just because there is also an element in this movie where there is a composed soundtrack to this film. There's an orchestrated soundtrack to this film that is so unnecessary, which is a shame because the actual like pop soundtrack for this film is a pretty solid little collection of songs. Like, nothing that I feel like you need to go looking for the Carpool. I don't even think you can find the Carpool soundtrack. If somebody can find me a copy of the Carpool soundtrack on cassette, I will give you anything. I will hand over my podcast right now.
The last song, the credit song is so good. The credit song is good.
Oh yeah, no, it's good music. They're all good. It's all good music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's really good.
But I mean,
stuff.
I Want to Be Sedated was used multiple times in the movie.
Well, of course, you're going to pay the Ramones, you're going to get your fucking money's worth, right? Or the Screaming Idiots.
You got to pay the idiots. Yeah, you got to pay the idiots, man.
I'm not familiar with the Screaming Idiots. Can you turn me on to some more of their stuff? Like, great. So earnest. You're right. Yeah, no, I don't know, but the sound mix on this movie is just, it's awful. It is legitimately terrible. Because there are, like, you can't hear any of the voices, but then any of the music, whether it is the needle drops or the actual composed score to this, is just so loud. Like, it's assaulting you. God, I'm sorry. It just, I do audio stuff, right? That's why I'm a podcaster. Like, so that's going to be something that really just gets under my skin when I'm watching a movie like that. But yeah,
I did not end up having to do this, but it came really close. But just so that you kind of understand, I was already coming into this kind of feeling really good about the sound because I thought I was going to have two windows open, one playing the English soundtrack, not soundtrack, but like the audio track, I guess would be a better term, right? But the English audio track, but then have a different video playing the Spanish language video. Because at first, the only two versions of this movie that I could find accessible to me on YouTube, legal and all, you can go look these up later if you want, was a Spanish version that was crisp as hell, or an English version that kept, like, cutting back and replaying scenes, but like the audio was still just the audio track. So suddenly you were having dialogue for a scene 5 minutes ahead over a scene 5 minutes ago and things like it was really weird. And I was like, okay, the timestamps line up. This is the exact same time as this video. And so if I press play on that video and play on that video at just the right time and get it all together, I could do this. Luckily, by the time I got to my actual computer, I was doing this all on my fucking phone, by the way. Yeah, that was the other part of that. But like, I got to my computer and I was able to find a better version of it, shall we say.
That's fair. I mean, it's available. Like, of the movies that we watched for Tom Arnold, this one is the most available. I mean,
it's
Big
rentable.
Bully,
It's
Big
on a
Bully
bunch
was
of
on
services.
Amazon Prime, but it's not anymore.
No, it's not. We actually, I think we reviewed it like the day before
it went away.
Didn't we, or something?
That was like the whole thing. Is like, so like if you want to see Big Bully, hopefully, oh no, this is the time capsule. So nope.
Nope.
That's not gonna work for you. Yeah, like but also the editing in this film. Like there are moments where like clearly, like the most blatant one is when he wakes up and he's like overslept preparing his presentation. I was talking about the big emotional thing at the end and then we got distracted. So we'll get back to this, I promise. That like he like looks at his computer and then it like skips. Like, it feels like if I was watching a DVD and the DVD skipped to another establishing shot of the computer before he interacts with it to get the floppy disk and stuff. And I'm just like, this was a real movie. This was a real movie that released in theaters. What the fuck is happening? Right? Like, suddenly I understood Warner Brothers' trajectory over the past 30 years. If this was something that they considered, like, that's good enough for the movie theater. So maybe they did know what was going to happen with Tom Arnold. Maybe I gave them too much crap. But yeah, so, like, he is so obsessed with work and landing the Hammerman account. And at the end, his son gets stuck on a Ferris wheel because they go to the storage for the carnival where they store the carnival rides. And his son wants to go on the Ferris wheel. And he's like, I'm not going to go on that, but you can go on it. And it's the younger son, Andrew. And then the crooks that we still haven't talked about the inciting incident of this movie, which I promise that's the next topic after this.
We have to talk about it.
We have to talk about it. The crooks who like kicked off this whole thing show up and there's a bit of a fight and they damage the control panel for the Ferris wheel. So it starts moving faster and it's dangerous for the kid. And then they go for the emergency brake, but because it's moving so fast, it shorts out, so that doesn't work. So they need something to, like, stop up the gears so that one of them can go and retrieve Andrew from the Ferris wheel basket. And what Daniel does, David Paymer's character does, he gets his presentation and he uses that to stop the gears. Because,
Beautiful
like, it's
moment.
the right thing. I'm fucking tears. I am like, holy fucking shit. This character,
because it's not even a struggle for him. No. Like you see him running over with it, and there was never a moment of doubt when he grabbed it. Like there was no, the movie to its detriment, like doesn't focus on that. Instead, he just makes the choice, like almost even subconsciously, and grabs his shit and throws it in there.
I mean, there's been a little bit of a build to it because we've heard the story about how Franklin has a son and they're like best friends. But because of the fact that he's irresponsible and his wife does not want him in the life of this kid anymore, he's not allowed to see his 12-year-old son, right? And we also see it's subtle. Like, that's the thing is that, like, I love how subtle it is, but it's also so subtle that most people watching Carpool are going to miss out on the fact that Andrew, the younger son, like, it almost feels like he wishes Franklin was his dad. Because Franklin is a fun dad. When they get to the beauty salon and he's like, I want Franklin to take me to the bathroom. And he's like, Franklin's a criminal. I'm your father. Like that hits.
But that's why but then Franklin, just to go back to an earlier point, that is when Franklin makes that kind of decision to be like, hey, I'm a nervous peer. Can you come in with me too? Like he brings it, he sees what's happening and brings him along, right? Brings Daniel along. And there, so like there's a lot of really interesting shit there for sure. It's just there was something that you said that I was just like, the way in which he presents this, like, I was a good father but not a good husband. There's not really a really good equivalent to that in what Daniel's doing.
No.
He seems like a bad husband and a bad father.
Yeah, he seems like,
you know what I mean? Like, there's that.
Well, he's Adam Sandler and Click.
So the subtlety. That's what you were saying. Is that you were saying it was subtle, and you were saying that somebody might miss it. I don't even think it's that people miss it. I think it's that this is not the kind of movie you go to for subtlety, so you don't care. You see that, and it's not what you want. It's to the detriment of the film that it tries to be something so much more, right? And I think that, like, it's kind of a beautiful metaphor for everything that we've talked about with Tom Arnold, is that, like, he kind of burned himself out as far as, like, the Hollywood side of things goes, and maybe even by choice he has walked away from it because he personally feels burned out by it, because he was just shooting for the fucking stars in a way that, like, he as a person didn't seem to really want to be doing, right? It's funny, we just talked about, like, my feelings on John Cusack when we did the One Crazy Summer episode, right? Is that out yet? Probably not.
It released it, released on Monday.
Okay.
So that's the beauty of the excused absence, mother. That's the point of
Yeah. But that whole idea with John Cusack, almost kind of like, it's not that he hates fame, he's just kind of unimpressed by it, right? And Tom Arnold, like, what it feels like for him is like, he's not sure he wants it. It's like, well, I don't know why you're working your ass off, man, to pump out 3 movies like this and all that shit. You know, it's a weird place to be in as somebody wanting to be on board with an up and coming, you know, actor, comedian, and it not really working, right? Like, he doesn't really mesh. He doesn't develop that audience following that Carrie just, like, developed droves 2 years earlier.
I mean, I think a part of it is the fact that, like, fame also feels like the catalyst behind his divorce from Roseanne, because they were happy, and then he got kind of pulled into the spotlight by her a little bit. Like, it's not that he wasn't out there performing and doing things like that, but, like, his vicinity to her, he kind of got pulled into the orbit of her fame, and that always felt to me like what ultimately ended their relationship. I know there was other stuff going on, but, like, he gets on the heels of True Lies coming out. That's when he gets the offers for the 3 films that we've looked at in this Tom Arnold trilogy of 1996. So, like, there also feels like there might be some resentment behind that as well, about that fame. Like, I kind of hate fame, but I'm going to do these films the best I can. Like, as much as the writers on Big Bully, like is a very cogent theory that you present, may have been trying to sabotage him, but, like, oh, you don't understand our movie? Let's show you how bad this shit can really get. Like, I think that's kind of what he wanted, because he didn't want to do this stuff again. So, like, I think he goes over the top, because when I think about Tom Arnold in something like FUBAR or the True Lies television show, or even just True Lies, right? He's affable, he's funny, but, like, he's not in your face about it. My favorite Tom Arnold role is Elvis in NCIS New Orleans. He's not actually playing nice. Elvis, that's just his character's name, where, like, he is so, that same earnesty that you talk about for Tom Arnold in something like Carpool is what he's bringing to that, only he is, like, somebody who has ran afoul of the wrong people. Like, he's a black hat hacker in that show, and he's come up against it, so he has to go to his federal agent friend, Dwayne Pride, played by Bakula, and, like, ask for help. And he's not playing it to be the funniest guy in that show, because that's not what's going to work in a fucking police procedural, right? He's likable, he's charismatic, but he's not coming in there doing freaking, I cannot think of the fireman's name from In Living Color, and that is how I wanted to like punctuate this, and I just couldn't. Marshal Bill, Fire Marshal Bill. Like, he's not in the show doing Stinky Fire Pete. Marshal Bill. Stinky Pete is the prospector played by Kelsey Grammer in Toy Story 2.
Kelsey Grammer?
Yeah.
Isn't he that guy that fell off that stage?
Oh man, that's funny. That's funny what you just did. But yeah, like, because when he's able to just like, we're gonna watch McHale's Navy next year. I love him in McHale's Navy. I think he's so good in that movie, and I'm excited.
I think it's because it's a movie that he knows what the role is looking for. Because in that particular film, in that particular role, he has a reference.
Yeah,
we'll get
exactly. There. Yeah, and we'll get there. But yeah, but this movie, that moment where Paymer takes his presentation, which has been the thing he has weirdly cared the most about, as what he believes is an armed gunman has taken his 2 children and himself hostage. Like, he takes it and he does it, and that moment is like, I'm crying. I'm like, good. Like, when push came to shove, he made the right fucking choice. So, like, David Paymer learned something from this whole experience. And then, like, when the freaking Ferris wheel stops moving, it, like, releases the safety bar, and Andrew almost goes flying out of the Ferris wheel basket. I was like, holy fuck. Like, I was an emotional wreck during that scene, Sejohn. I'm not ashamed to say that into a microphone. Because, like, they made it work. Right? For everything that Carpool fucking is. They made it work.
I mean, it's a movie that's always going to take the obvious kind of... obvious isn't the right word. It's always going to take the craziest choice. It is always going to say, like, they back out of this van and suddenly they're in a mall. And you're like, what the fuck? Or they need to disguise themselves to the cops. So he buys a bunch of hair dye for them to spray all over.
I thought it was beautiful. Like, that happened and I'm like, that's where GTA got the idea for spray and pay. Like, right there.
Well...
Pay and spray.
Honestly, I think the best move of that. You ever want to see a really good moment of that?
Mickey
Dangerously. I always think this whenever I see this. No, fucking the Jackal, Bruce Willis, when after he does the first assassination that he does, when he pulls into the parking garage and has to change over the van like instantly. So he like does the whole like quick flip of the tags and everything and the license plates, and then also starts to wash the van down, and it suddenly becomes a different color and shit, and you watch the other color go down the drain as the cops come by. It's such a good moment. God, that movie's so good.
First of all, I said Mickey Dangerously. I meant Johnny Dangerously.
That's
Dangerously
my
favorite
with,
one.
Keaton,
With the wallpaper on the car. Which, like, that's a great way to get away. Maybe don't be peeling the wallpaper off while you're still engaged in the hot pursuit. You have to be, like, out of the vision of the police before you do the changeover. You know what? If we're going to talk about the hair, like, it's spray hair dye. I love that whole sequence. It's so good. Can we talk about Rhea Perlman in this movie? Because Rhea Perlman is in this fucking movie. And she's insane.
And like, yes, she is insane as a character. It is amazing. She is all over the fucking place from moment one. And then on top of that, they give her this weird, but like really funny and almost adorable relationship with the cop that we've been following the whole time. Did I miss something? At some point, the two of them were just like all about each other. So yeah, there's the moment. So they wind up in the mall, and we've been following the detective. I cannot even think of his fucking name. That is how crazy that character is. And I think it's important to point out that when we're first introduced to Rhea Perlman, one of the bits that we get from her introduction is on him as the cop, and them saying, "Oh, it looks like they're being pursued already." And he goes, "Get me in touch with that car." And they're like, "Well, she's not going to take the call." And they're like, "Oh no, who is it?" And they describe Rhea Perlman, and they're like, meter maid, right, and all that. And he is like, clearly he is aware of this person, and clearly he is distraught that this is the person that's now involved, right? So we already get the impression before we even get more backstory about her that there's something going on. But what I wasn't ready for was them later in the film being just all about each other.
The Sergeant Bilko moment. There's a Sergeant Bilko moment. That is what it is. 100%. Specifically the Steve Martin movie from 1996, ironically enough. Coincidentally enough, right? Yeah, Alanis Morissette's definition of irony. as Ben
There
Affleck
you
would
go.
say. But yeah, so Erdman is the detective who's been involved since the inciting incident. I promise we're going to talk about it. It will be the next topic. When they're in the mall, Erdman's like, I'm 3 minutes out. And Rhea Perlman, in her souped up fucking meter-made like tripod car that has, it's like the fucking Batmobile. It's shooting flame out of the exhaust as she's on 2 wheels just cooking down the fucking street. She's like, fuck you, I'm 2 minutes out. So she's able to stop the van before they get out of the mall. She does it with a fucking spear gun that she got from cards and stuff. Like that. This film has like real heavy thoughts about how easy it is to get a gun in America.
we gotta get to that.
We will get to that in a second.
I love this. We are teasing this shit, and it is buck wild.
Yeah, like understand the tease is worth it. You're not gonna be disappointed, and we're not gonna leave you with blue balls. But yeah, so she's got a spear gun, and then in walks the detective, and he's like, "All right, stand down. You're good. I'm the commanding officer on this particular case. Sit down." She turns the spear gun on him, and then Tom Arnold, who like, despite the fact that he's believed to be a robber and a kidnapper in this whole movie, he's also everybody's fucking therapist. Everybody's like, you seem like an unbiased third party. Let's involve you in our bullshit. And Rhea Perlman tells the story about how 8 years after being a military police officer and Erdman being her inferior in that job, he finally gets up the courage to ask her to marry him. And she agrees. And then this also feels like a huge Cheers reference, like in addition to Sergeant Bilko, because on the day, Erdman's too much of a chicken to show up at the wedding. So then Perlman, talking about how her bridesmaids has their jack boots all shined up and she's wearing her finest epaulettes. Like, it's so beautiful as she describes herself on her wedding day where she's supposed to marry this fucking detective. He doesn't show up, and then you have to stand up in front of all of your friends and loved ones and explain that your groom-to-be was too much of a coward to marry you. And then David Paymer uses that opportunity to run away. Like, oh, I see an opening when I see it. So he pops the van in reverse and goes to drive away. Tom Arnold is able to run and catch up to the van, and the kids obviously let him in because the kids like him. The kids are on his side. He's fun, right? David Paymer, not fun at driving the carpool, right? We're going to stop at Hammerman's. They don't even have donuts at Hammerman's, right? We can't sing along to the moms let us sing along to whatever we want. Like, all this stuff. And then Rhea Perlman shoots the spear gun and is fucking water skiing through the mall after being dragged. Like, it's this insane scene. But then, like, she loses it, but there's her Marshall car again. There's her little meter maid car. And, like, Erdman, she's like, get in. And she's like, hold on tighter. And it's like, oh, have they reconciled? Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Like, it is an insane little plot thread. But Rhea Perlman is she's so good as the meter. She's totally, like, channeling Tackleberry from Police Academy with the whole, like, yeah, I'm parking enforcement, but you do not want to fucking mess with me.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good shit. I mean, there's a lot of that sort of stuff. But, yeah, we need to talk about
the inciting
speaking
incident.
of the gun violence.
Yeah, yes. That's not Ken Jennings as Todd, right? Because this film is set in Seattle. No, it's Scott McArnold, I believe. Scott McDonald. Scott McArnold. That's not a name.
That's nobody. Cut to.
Cut to him listening. I've been listening since Shante Street, and that's what they think of me. Scott McArnold, we love you, man. I'm sorry for this moment. Know that you're part of it. Contact the show. Scott McArnold, if you're actually listening, shoot an email to thisdayreport@gmail.com. We'll get you something for being a loyal listener.
Your own little Stan.
But don't do what Stan does in that song, please. Don't do that. You don't got to do that.
Don't do that.
But yeah, so the inciting incident of this is, so Tom Arnold, we learn, has lost the carnival because he has like back taxes due or something. He owes money to somebody. We don't know who, and he has 48 hours to get that money. And his solution to this is to rob a bank, which I really, really fucking love. That the film has to like bend over backwards for why a bank would be open at like 8 a.m. Because bankers' hours are such an established thing in the 90s. That like if you're gonna
especially in America,
if you're gonna rob a bank, it's after 10 o'clock, right? Banks just weren't open before 10 o'clock before, right? They like the 10 and 2 that some people a couple of years ago are like, I wish Dolly Parton said working 10 to 2, as if Dolly Parton established the length of the workday. Fuck, that fucking pissed me off so much. It's not like they heard the song and they're like, wow, Dolly Parton has a point. People should work from 9 to 5. Thank you, Dolly. No, but like bank.
That's what we should be doing.
Yeah. We were gonna let people work an hour a day, but Dolly Parton, like 8 hours is the right amount from 9 to 5. It's catchy. No, bankers' hours historically were from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's where that term comes from. But the bank that Tom Arnold is going to rob in the morning, because the robbery has to take place in the morning to involve a carpool going to school, right? And it can't be in the afternoon either, because the bank's closed at 2, and school probably doesn't get out till 3, right? Like, they really tied themselves into a corner, taking this movie and being like, so a guy robs a bank, and then he hijacks a carpool. Only he doesn't do either of those things. They go through all of this stuff to show a bank that has new early bird hours, which again, it opens at 8 a.m. because he's there too early to rob the bank. That's a plot point in this, is that he gets to the bank too early to rob it. So he goes to the Hammerman's Gourmet Grocery that is in the same plaza as the bank. The same Hammerman's Gourmet Grocery that David Paymer decides to stop at to get breakfast for the carpool, even though they don't have donuts and it's no fun for kids. That's going to be relevant eventually. I assure you that will be relevant to the plot of this movie. But meanwhile, while would-be bank robber Franklin Laszlo has wound up at the Hammermans, and Daniel Miller, who's trying to sell Hammermans a marketing account, have decided to wind up in the same Hammerman's grocery store, two guys, and they're just two fucking guys. We know nothing about them, other than the fact that I feel like Troy Baker. Is that the guy who did Boondock Saints? Whoever did Boondock Saints, I think it's Troy Baker is his name. I don't think that's his name. I gotta look up his name. Sejohn, look
Troy
up.
Baker is the video game
voice actor guy,
voiceover
right?
artist. Yeah,
it's Troy something. Look up who did Boondock Saints, because straight up it feels
Troy Duffy.
Troy Duffy. Okay, he was a Troy, right? There aren't a lot of Troys in the world. Helen of. I'm done. Vern Troyer. Let's. How many Troys can I name? I feel like Troy Duffy saw these two guys in fucking Carpool and was like, what if I made a movie about two guys who are like real religious but also use guns? The Boondock Saints, ladies and gentlemen. Because they're gonna rob the grocery store, and for some reason, the guy in the Brothers McMullen hat with the gap in his teeth, he goes in beforehand and is able to disable the security cameras and also prop open the back door. Now, those are things you do if you're going to rob the store when the store is closed. But then it is revealed that they have guns, and their plan is to go in and rob the store before the armored truck drop-off that happens every morning. Jesus is prominently on their dashboard, right? Depeche Mode is so happy that they've got their own personal Jesus. They pray, and then they go into the store to...
You proud of that joke? I
love that song. I love that song so fucking much. Your own personal Jesus. I can do more. But we're not going to. We got to talk about this. This is important. So they go in to rob the place. Also, just because why the fuck not? While David Paymer is going into the grocery store, he passes by an elderly woman whose name is Edith. She gets a name. Betty Lind is the person playing the role. And she's in My Boss's Daughter, just to wrap everything together in the shit that we cover on this fucking show. She comments on how beautiful the children are in the van, which is important for later in the plot. So she comments on that, and then apparently somehow. So she also goes into the store. So that's who's in the store. Like, there's the people who are working. One of them is Todd, who was running the cash register. There's Tom Arnold, who's like killing time before he goes to rob a bank. There's David Paymer, who buys the worst fucking assortment of pastries. Like, he got like 8 croissants for 5 kids and only 1 Danish. And fuck you! You told the kids, I'm gonna go in and get some Danish. He buys 1 Danish. Fuck you, Daniel Miller. You're the real villain.
And really, I mean, and if you look at it from a meta level, the only reason he even buys the Danish is so that it ends up on somebody later.
Exactly.
That's the only... Like, if it wasn't for the fact that they wanted to make that joke later, they probably just would have made him buy all croissants.
All croissants, right? Oops, all croissants. Right? That's where the Captain got the idea for Oops, all berries. He's sitting there watching Carpool, and he's like, oh, that's a good idea. All berries. I like my Captain Crunch. He also had just had sex with a lady of the night. Sex work is real work. I'm not disparaging her. You think that a cereal magnate like Captain Crunch wouldn't have to pay for it, right? But you can take the pirate off of the sea, but you can't take the sea out of the pirate. That didn't work for me. Hi, Sejohn. What are we talking about? Carpool. So you have...
Now I'm just picturing Captain Crunch singing Mandy by Barry Manilow.
In his, like, dirty tighty whities, right? Sitting in a recliner.
Yeah. Crying into a fireplace with a whiskey in his hand and his hat just hanging off his head.
Wait, is he singing? He's singing Mandy by Barry Manilow, but to the tune of Brandy by Looking Glass. Mandy.
That's what I meant. I meant Brandy.
I know you did, but then I also really liked that he thinks her name was Mandy. The sailor said, Mandy, you're a fine girl. Oh, Jesus. So those are there, and then the 2 guys come in to rob the place.
Have I ever listened to Barry Manilow? Sorry, you were talking about
Have you ever seen Can't Hardly Wait?
No, yeah, fair enough. All right,
it's in that movie. It's about a dog, dude. Oh, I can't wait till 30 years of that movie. So the 2 guys come in to rob the place, and Edith, she pulls a gun on the one dude. And like,
to remind everybody, because we kind of have gotten far from it, Edith is the sweet old lady that talked about how beautiful the kids were.
How beautiful the children were. She pulls a gun because the 2 guys, the friggin' not the Boondock Saints, go in to rob the place. We don't get names for them. They're just the robbers.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Let's go for it. So she pulls a gun on one of them, and then the other guy points his gun at her, and then Tom Arnold, like, takes the guy who has Todd at gunpoint and holds his gun up to that guy, which at that point makes Tom Arnold a hero, right?
Yes.
And Todd...
This is key.
This is important to the fucking movie. Todd...
This is important to my frustration. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not wrong. Right? So Todd, who was, like, so afraid of dying at his fucking shitty grocery store job, which... I felt seen in that moment. Like, nobody wants to die in a fucking armed robbery at their fucking minimum
I don't want to die in a
help.
polyester smock. It's such a good line, man.
It's such a good fucking line. Oh my goodness. Like, he gives Tom Arnold the money almost as like a thank you for saving me sort of thing. Like, it's like, just take the money. Like, you kept me from getting killed. Enjoy this money. It's like your reward. So he gets handed the money. Like, Tom Arnold is not robbing the store. He uses the gun he was going to use to rob the bank to be a hero.
Right. To Todd's point, at this point, insurance is already probably going to pay them back, right? Like, two people came in and clearly are trying to rob the store. If somebody walks off with the cash, it's not that big of a leap to believe that insurance is going to cover this at this point. So, yeah, you, Mr. Hero, take the money and run.
Exactly. At this time, Detective Erdman walks into the store because he sees that it's going, and he holds the gun on Tom Arnold. Because at this point, he kind of looks like he's the fucking robber because Todd handed him the money. So, like, without a conversation, like, just visually, it would look like Tom Arnold is the aggressor in this moment. And, he's like, put the gun down. And he's like, well, okay, it's fine, it's okay. And he goes to put the gun down. And Edith, the sweet old lady, what said to children in the van were beautiful little babies, drops her gun, and it goes off, shooting the pot of coffee in David Paymer's hand, meaning his dick gets another hot coffee bath. And the first time, Chelsea, great line, that happened to my uncle, and then he couldn't see the color green anymore.
I mean, it felt like they were trying to kind of do like a McDonald's hot coffee on the lap bit, but even they didn't want to go too far with it because, like, as we've all learned, that was actually an actual kind of serious situation that we all just joked about on SNL, I guess.
Because McDonald's sold the propaganda, man. This is not Adam Ruins Everything, but fuck, look into that. That is sad what happened to that woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, truly sad. So that whole thing happens, and then, like, Tom Arnold sees friggin' David Paymer, and he takes him hostage with the money, because the cop immediately goes to the ground once a gun goes off, and he's like, let's go. So he takes David Paymer hostage, and then the two crooks, the not Boondock Saints, are left in the store, and Todd tries to tell the cop, no, he's actually the hero, he tried to save it, and the detective's not having fucking any of it. So they escape, and now the Detective Erdman has essentially become Jack McGee from the Incredible Hulk show with Bill Bixby, and will not rest until he can find fucking Tom Arnold.
Yeah, but there's a couple of key things here. First of all, we have to point out this is when Edith has a beautiful moment with. I can't tell if I loved the guy playing the newscaster or fucking hated him because he was nailing this like douchebaggery like so good. In my 2.5 years of anchor broadcasting
of broadcast experience, I have never I've never heard anything so horrendous as 5 children kidnapped by an armed gunman. Tom, like,
we as a nation pray with you. Fuck off.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but anyway, so she reveals to him that there were kids in the car, which is what like elevates everything throughout the movie, right? Like it's a big like plot like elevation moment when Edith just casually drops that, oh yeah, there were also kids in there, because up to that point, all they know is that Daniel got taken, right?
Yeah,
and weirdly, like. Like the thing that got me is that the way that they get out, right, is they get out with him pretending, but essentially taking Daniel hostage, right? Like it's kind of hard to argue at that moment that he is definitely taking Daniel hostage, or it's hard to argue against that. But when he steps outside, he throws a broom in the door, right? Yep. Classic bit.
Classic.
Door can't open.
Yep.
Why we see there are other people in this store? Why is there never a moment where in all of that somebody clarifies for him what's going on? Because we mentioned that Todd like passes out or something. Did we mention that like Todd tries to explain what's going on?
Yeah,
and then,
but then he faints. Yeah.
and then he faints, right? And so like we get it. That's why he's not able to explain it. But I mean, like that doesn't give any excuse for the old lady. There's also, I think, a couple of other people wandering around.
There's
like,
there's at least one other employee there, right? Also,
yeah, so why is nobody explaining to this cop what has just happened?
Yeah. Like, he had somewhere he had to be. He saved us. Nobody says that. But also, like, that's why the Jack McGee comparison. Because Erdman is just so obsessed that he's not listening to reason. What I want to know in this moment is that we have an establishing shot of the not Boondock Saints saying, I went inside, I disabled the security camera, and I propped open the back door. Why not go for the back door to get out of it?
Why doesn't anybody go for the back door? Yeah.
Like you established that there's a back door in this place. It's in the back. Like, what the fuck?
And that you know where it is. Like,
Yeah.
you are aware of it. You know where it is. You even know how to operate it. Like, everything that you need in order to get out of this building, you have already explained to us you have. But no, he decides to just throw a cash register through the window instead.
God. And then the cash register goes through the window, allowing them to move the broom, but it also hits the windscreen of Erdman's car, which forces him to commandeer Edith's pink Ford Galaxy. And also,
Was it pink? All right.
It's pink because Erdman was kind of talking like Elvis a little bit. Like, he's like, oh, thank you very much, and things like that. Like, he had a little bit of an Elvis affectation to his voice. And then he got into essentially a pink Cadillac, and I'm like, what the fuck is this movie doing? Like, who is this for? Is it for me? Is it so I can sit in front of a microphone in an hour and a half and be like, why did they do this, Sejohn? Why did this happen?
Well, how was this movie truly made?
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. But also, just because why the fuck not, Edith, like, she tries to stop him from taking her car because her brakes are bad. Which is an issue for exactly one scene, but then he's able to drive the car with no issue. And he's able to stop on a dime multiple times.
I think it does also come into play when the whole Blues Brothers car pile-up comes in, but that's hard to judge because we see another car that doesn't have big brake problems do the same thing.
Yeah. That's where baby cars come from, as far as I know, right? When 3 cars pile up at the exit of a garage, that's where baby cars come from.
And that's how you make a Previa.
Oh, nice Previa joke.
Man, the Toyota Previa, like, here's the thing. I fucking love me a minivan. I grew up with the Blue Dodge, you know, and the Blue Dodge Caravan, the baby Blue Dodge Caravan. I think everybody has that image in their head, right? But the Previa was a pretty rad car that didn't succeed over here. It was really big over in like
in Europe, yeah.
And it looked a lot like it looked a lot like with what Toyota was doing, kind of more over on the other side of the world with like the
space cars,
the Hesia. But the big thing is that they don't have noses, right? Like, so anybody that has watched the movie yet, you know what I mean. Like, this is an odd looking van because it doesn't have the front nose like engine situation going on. And Toyota made a bunch of vans like that throughout the 90s, and none of them ever really picked up over here because in England and in Asia and stuff, having the engine placed somewhere else within the body of the vehicle didn't throw them for a loop like it seems to with American buyers.
Yup.
Like, if it's not right in front of me, and like whatever.
If people can't see my engine coming ahead of me, how will they even know I'm driving a car? You're driving a car, Dad? I don't know what to tell you. You're in a car.
How are they gonna know how tiny my dick is? But there's like a look to that van that I just fucking adore.
It's gorgeous.
Like,
absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. And I was almost on board with the idea that this might have been like a Mac and Me situation of Toyota like funding a movie in order to sell their van until it gets painted. And then I was like, there's no way somebody was okay with this. For the rest of this movie, this thing looking like it's been hit up by somebody on like a back street or some shit. What is going on?
No. Reebok paid for this movie. That scene where Tom Arnold's feet, like the bottom of his shoe, is a Reebok logo, and it is just center camera for like 15 seconds as he tries to crawl into the front of the car. Oh, we also mentioned like Tom Arnold loses his wallet in the scuffle at Hammerman's. So there's this great moment where he pulls over and he's like, "You need to drive. I can't do that without a license. I can't be driving without a license." And David Paymer, I think if you're committing a felony, that trumps driving without a license.
Which also we should establish. I kind of glanced over this with the whole Edith thing and her revealing there's kids in the van. He doesn't even know there's kids in the van when he first gets in, because there's this weird bit about how they look in and the kids seem to be gone. I don't know. And then, like, so they get in and all that shit. And then all of a sudden, like, it is slowly revealed the kids are there through, you know, shenanigans, right? And, like, I don't know. I don't know what the buildup is. And when he learns there's kids in the van, I think it might be this. I think it might be building up to this kind of save the cat moment for us to truly understand that this is an okay dude. Once he learns there are kids in the van, the immediate decision he makes is to pull over and kick them all out.
Yes.
And it becomes a spur of the moment, confusion, I don't know what my hands are doing type thing, that they end up back in the car and they all end up going off together. And then they end up being friends and everything's okay. But, like, there is this moment where when he realizes how far things have gone, he does try to put a stop to it, and just circumstances, because it's a movie, don't allow it, right? Without that, there would be no plot. So, yes. Like, there's this kind of, like, again, save the cat moment where you're supposed to understand, okay, he is a decent guy. Like, he wouldn't do this if he had known that there were kids in this van.
Right. That moment is actually beautiful, because it weirdly shows that even though, like, Andrew doesn't think his dad is a fun dad, like, the reason why he refuses to leave, because the whole thing is he's like, kids, get out of the van, and he's like, let's do it. And then Daniel goes to Jordan, he's like, no, you're still my hostage. And then Andrew's like, well, I'm not leaving my dad with you alone. And then the other kids all
back
like
into the car.
Yeah, they all like agreed to that. They're like, no, you're not going to do that. So he's like, and then the cop shows up, so like, we got to go. So that whole moment, and then also the moment where, like, you can just take the van, like, we're going to leave you here, when they have to change the tire. And he's like, you've been more than fair. And he's like, okay, but you fucking took me hostage with a lighter. Oh, yeah, that's right. Tom Arnold's gun has been a lighter this whole time. Realistic-looking gun lighter. So David Paymer's like, you fucking lied to me. You made me think that my kids were in danger. Like, like, I was being kind to you. I thought we were building some sort of friendship. I'm breaking my promise to get you where you need to go. And then the kids are like, well, Dad, no, you made a promise. You made a deal with him. You've taught us this whole thing.
It's what you mentioned earlier, this idea that the kids start to kind of see Franklin as, like, a better dad than Daniel.
Yeah.
And we see that flip, right? The exact same thing where the kid says, I'm not getting out of the car without my dad. He says, in this moment, I'm not getting back into the car without Franklin. And so, like, you get to see that the other side of that. Yeah. There's a lot of really on the nose, like, script writing beats in this movie, right? And I think that's part of it, being a 90s comedy. Like, this is very by the book in its structure. Where it kind of goes off the rails is in the absurdity of just where it's willing to find those beats.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't talk about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, by the way, after finding his wallet, going to his house, because obviously his ID is there, and we get that wild scene with his mom, or don't get a scene, because have we mentioned the fact that his mother is never actually, like, on screen? It's very much like a Charlie Brown adult style, like, off-screen voice type shit.
I mean, kinda. We do see her destroy that Sizzler at the end of the movie. And
I forgot about that.
Not that like is any good thing but like that moment, and she's voiced by 3 different people, one of whom is Edie McClure. Like, I want to just say Edie McClure is one of the 3 voice actors who performs as his mother. 'Cause, like, the mother, she suddenly sounds different from scene to scene. Which is also
it's almost like you can't quite place her voice.
It's crazy.
But all of her lines are ADR. Like, all of her lines are ADR. She's consistently in shadow or, like, off screen until, I guess, the end, right? But Yeah, and then the fucking Sizzler bit, I just like talk about a joke so absurd I don't get it. Like to the point where like Tom Arnold is having an almost like abusive moment of him screaming into the phone about how she's not allowed to go to Sizzler. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, it's crazy. The other people who voiced Franklin's mom, in addition to Edie McClurg, so the one that Steve Martin's like, I'm not having a good fucking day in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, is Kathleen Freeman, which I don't know what the fuck. Like, she's Sister Mary Stigmata in The Blues Brothers. So, like, on the nail there, Sejohn. Like, okay, that's good. And then Miriam fucking Flynn, the cousin Eddie's wife from from Vegas Vacation.
Oh my god.
Yeah, from all of them. She plays his wife in all the ones.
She I was gonna say, is she also in Christmas Vacation? Okay. Yeah.
So it's just like it's this crazy idea of all these different people who are providing her voice, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Like I like it. It's weird, and it adds to that whole question of like, who or what is this character?
Well, and you know, like it trades the whole bit with the mom trades on a lot of shitty jokes from that time about like, you know, older women in size and oh, she's so ugly, is she even human, and a lot of that kind of shit, right? It benefits from the fact that they don't show her frequently, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no, like, the fact that she is kind of this, like, it's kind of left to your imagination what is actually going on there, and so suddenly it becomes more about a thing about like, that says more about you than it does about us because we didn't even put it on screen. Like, it's like, okay, like whatever, but like it's still a shitty joke, right? So there's this weird kind of world that joke lives in that I'm already not on board with because I don't kind of understand what's going on. And then to add to that, the only pieces I'm picking up on feel gross.
Oh, yeah.
But also, there's nothing here specific I can put my finger on and say, don't do that.
But then, like, you also talk about how strange it is. There was this moment where I'm like, does his mom exist, or is this a psycho situation?
Yeah, right?
Like,
oh, my God.
Like, for real thoughts that went through my head. Also, like, this episode is called I Walked In to Find You in Bed with My Mother. What kind of father are you? Did you clock what actor was in the soap opera that Mrs. Miller was watching?
No.
It's Jewel State. Kaylee from fucking Firefly. I mean, a bunch of other things, too. But, like, wonderful crazy shit that this movie is just throwing at the screen. But yeah, so the Not Boondock Saints, they get his wallet. They're the ones who wind up with the wallet. So they go to his house and the mother kicks their ass, right? Like, you're here to hurt my son? Get the fuck out of here. Kicks him through the door. And then they also are able.
There was a bit that it was that I was thinking of, and I couldn't figure out what it's from. But like, the first one gets kicked out the door and lands on the ground, and then the other one, like, it's not Keenan and Kel, but there were definitely moments like this where like Kel gets thrown out the door. DJ Jazzy Jeff, he gets Jazzy Jeffed out the fucking door.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly who it is. Yeah, it's like, but then the really crazy thing is that they have his wallet, they know where his home is, but then when they find him at the storage place for all the carnival equipment, they're like, maybe don't leave a van with your name and address on it. It's like, no, you have his address from his wallet. Like, we've already established that. Why are you putting a hat on a hat? Why have you done this?
Also, there's such a nice, clean way to do this where you don't have him drop his wallet in the grocery store. Have him have left his wallet in his truck. So then, yes, when they discover the truck, they discover everything. And we get that as an audience, that they have discovered everything. Like, you don't have to, like, because they go through so much work establishing how they get the wallet and then show them use the wallet and then fail because they get kicked out of the house. And then suddenly they show up at the end and they have to give you a bunch of exposition about how they got there because you haven't seen anything about them in the truck to this point.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I don't know. I enjoy the film, but some of this stuff, it's like, man, like how is parts of this movie so good and other parts of this movie, it's like, it'll work. And like that's sort of like the presentation at the end. Like the best part of one of the best moments in this movie, probably not the best part, but certainly top 3, is when like David Paymer shows up to give his presentation and Hammerman's like, I'm leaving, right? In half an hour, I'll have been in my office for 20 minutes. Like, it's like Rob Steiger is just giving his fucking all as Hammerman. So then he's like, do you understand that one of my locations was robbed this morning and that jackass abducted 5 children? Do you understand the PR nightmare that I'm dealing with right now? And then the door opens behind him because this conference room has doors on both sides. And Tom Arnold walks in and goes, hi, I'm that PR nightmare. And the kids walk in and go, and we're the hostages. And it's beautiful. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And then he's like, here's your money back, so you don't need to worry about the robbing. It's almost all there, less the amount I had to spend on hair dye for the car. Which is like, it's so good. And then he's like, all right, because I'm going to give you until the cops get here. Tom Arnold has this one, because this movie's also very anti-cop. Right? Let's talk about like a film that's very anti-cop, anti-establishment. Yeah. Tom Arnold says to Daniel, we're in a pretty good neighborhood, so you have about 3 minutes to sell this guy. And like his presentation is pretty good, but Tom Arnold just keeps like interjecting shit, and I'm like, you just need to shut the fuck up right now, Tom Arnold. This is not your time. Everything you're adding is not helping.
But you know what it is, though, is there's this thing about him the entire film where Franklin is able to really woo over anybody almost instantly. He is a salesman. Honestly, he's a showman, right? Like, he's a circus man. And he's clearly that. And I almost think that that's maybe like a kind of an interesting, deep thought that Tom Arnold might have actually had while playing this character. Because, like, what he's doing at the end is he's helping Daniel sell his thing. And to be frank, it's working. Yes. Like you can say, hey, it's not your time, shut up. Except that presentation in under 3 minutes goes so swimmingly, it resolves the entire film.
Right. Because you've returned the kids and the money, I'll be dropping the charges, but I expect 500 hours of community service from you. They get the Hammerman account, freaking independent of Bauer & Cole, the marketing firm that Daniel works for. Daniel has that beautiful thing where he's like, I'm not working weekends anymore, and I expect to be home by 6 o'clock every day of the week. Oh no, 3 o'clock on Tuesdays because I'm coaching my kid's little league fucking team. Like this whole, but you're going to be a partner. And he's like, nah, fuck you, I quit. Like, it's such a badass moment for David Paymer. Like, a man who, like, I think of his career as just, like, loss after loss after loss. His grandest
that's literally
victory.
The character point in Ocean 13, right? It's like they just do the worst of the worst shit to him. And yeah, at the end they help pay it off, but was it worth it? What that dude goes through, the social engineering that dude isn't even aware he was a part of the entire time.
My favorite part about that is one of the guys I worked at Hollywood Video with, who also was at university with us. Maybe you can connect the two. It wasn't Jay, right? I would have told you if it was Jay. It was another person who worked at Hollywood Video and also went to university with us. His mother was convinced that David Paymer as the VUP, very unimportant person, was in on the heist. Like, she would not drop that she thought he was involved in the heist.
That's the whole bit.
I'm like,
and then she saw the movie and realized she was wrong, or like,
nope. She, after seeing the movie, she'd seen the movie, and she still, I would imagine, still to this day, like, is adamant that he was part of the heist.
Jesus.
And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
You heard it here, kids. Media literacy was never a thing.
Yeah, there's your proof, kids. Yeah, and he does sell it, but like until he sells it, I'm like, this is such a distraction, Tom Arnold.
No, it is. It's uncomfortable and it's cringy, but like the movie wants you to believe that it's working, and it shows you that it
does work.
So like, yeah.
So the carnival is saved. David Paymer is now partners, right? It's now the, oh my God, I can't remember the last name. Uh, Franklin Laszlo and Miller Carnival. 4 heads are better than 2. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And Hammerman is their like silent angel investor because they did such a good job like marketing the store to like children, which like that was a moment that fucking hit for me. Because Sejohn, today, I'm telling the story brief. It's a small detour. We'll get right back to it. The Ninja Turtle Cross G.I. Joe figures were supposed to release on the 3rd of July. I had pre-orders for the 4 turtles and Bebop, Rocksteady, Shredder, and Krang. Right? I had pre-orders in place for those. Those were canceled for me. So now I gotta be like everybody else out there trying to find these figures that like may or may not actually be out there. Right? Like, so I feel pissed about that. I went to 2 Walmarts today, and not for these figures. I had a whole issue with a bin, like, for storage purposes. They gave me the wrong size lid, and I've been fighting that, trying to find the proper bin. This is unimportant to the story. But the 2 Walmarts that I went to, the toy departments had no Ninja Turtles. I don't mean no G.I. Joe XTMNT Ninja Turtles. I mean 0 Ninja Turtles on the shelf. And that felt like the end of an era to me. Like, there wasn't like some old Mutant Mayhem stuff. Completely bare shelves for anything Ninja Turtles. And so when we're watching Carpool, and the whole pitch is your stores are catering to people who are leaving for Florida, right? Like, you're aiming for like old people, but children are literally the future. You need to try to market to them to get customers for life who are not eventually going to move away or, God forbid, die. Like, oh my God. Like, that's what the toy companies have done, is they're like, oh, we can focus on the people who were buying toys in the 80s, but they haven't thought about the next generation. So, like, they're eventually going to fail. Because they're not marketing towards the people who they should be marketing to anymore.
I mean, I think you can look at there's no doubt in my mind that Hammerman in the movie is supposed to be some version of something like a Whole Foods, right? Like, that is the
absolutely.
Idea. Yeah. It's a boutique grocery store, and specifically back in like the 90s, and specifically something like Whole Foods, because I know there's a lot of like kind of in-betweener stores nowadays, because we've learned that people do want something like that, but they do want to also be able to buy cereal for their kids, right? Is like they were popping up everywhere. They were becoming famous, and they were becoming really snobby. They were starting to hit that moment where we were all starting to get a little sick of them, right? And so this movie comes in and makes the fantastic play at this idea that, like, no, we're going to show you that like the MacGuffin of this movie is like supermarkets are starting to suck, right? Like, let's talk about that. And like, it works because that's something so evidently true. If you look at what happened to Whole Foods now, it's basically just an Amazon pickup spot now. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like all the Whole Foods that I have been near in the last like 15 years have slowly started to get smaller, have less shit in them. The shit they do have, they have less variety of, and it's always like they have to take it to the extreme. Not only is it vegan, organic, and this, it's also only made with this particular strain of chickpea or whatever fucking nonsense. Like, and this is not me doing my type 5 on this shit. I go to a somewhat higher end grocery store when we have like specialty dinners that I adore. And it is the kind of place where I can buy that kind of stuff if I want to. But the other thing about that place is I can also just buy some goddamn like Hebrew National hot dogs for dinner if I want to. Like, it's the kind of place where they try and cater to both. That store is noticeably huge with a ton of locations around here. Whereas like Whole Foods, for a grocery store to fail this badly in Utah, you have to be doing something wrong. Whole Foods, to my knowledge, has one location, and it's about 45 minutes away from me. Like, there's no comparison. Whole Foods has fallen, right? And this movie called it out 30 years ago.
I also feel like with the Seattle setting, and granted that's because it's shot in British Columbia, so it's very easy to like set it in the Pacific Northwest, and then you're not going to have people questioning. It also feels a little bit like the Starbucks of it all, with the whole "we don't have donuts here" sort of thing, because that was like the big difference of Starbucks.
That's totally fair.
Like,
I mean, look, Starbucks, one of the first grocery chains they teamed up with was Whole Foods.
So, right?
Surprise,
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been in a Whole Foods in 10 years. And then the only reason I was going to Whole Foods was the person I was doing a podcast with at the time worked there, and I would pick them up from work. So I would get there a little bit before their shift ended and do some light shopping. And, like, probably get, like, a prepared food and a bottle of Voss water. Sparkling, because I liked that they were, like, they looked like ooze containers to tie it to Ninja Turtle. But as soon as, like, we stopped hanging out, like, I have no reason to go to Whole Foods. I went to Whole Foods last week. I didn't go in, but because I was running errands with my mother, and she's like, I have to make a Amazon return, and so we're going to Whole Foods. Like, that exact thing you talked about, right? Mm-hmm. They're also owned by Amazon, which is a whole other kettle of fish, right?
No, so, right. Ever since they got bought by Amazon, they have officially just become just like little Amazon hotspots or whatever the fuck. Like, it's wild.
It's insane. But yeah, like this whole idea of the future, and then to think that like, oh man, we're living 30 years after Carpool, and Dad has been a problem. Like, they have not catered to the next generation for a lot of these corporations. So, like, stores that were big and prominent in the 90s, like, even millennials are like, man, that's like a boomer store. Like, I don't go to that. Why would I ever go to Macy's? Right? I mean, like Macy's is where my parents shopped.
We know what the kids talk like.
Yeah, it's
cringe.
But yeah, like it's a whole thing. Anything else to say on Carpool? There's one thing I want to bring up, but like, because I also think that we need to talk about what this was paired with. Because, oh my God, like this movie was paired with a short film, which is insane to me.
Yeah, we should talk about it for a second. Short film. Yeah.
Well, that's what they call it. But I guess the last thing is, so the writer of this film is Don Reimer. Do you want to take a guess at another film he wrote? Hint: we covered it for a very special episode.
Oh, I was going to ask if it was House Arrest, which I think is the same year as this. It feels like a good sister movie to this one.
I get that's a good one. I like it.
Kevin Pollak and Lori there. What's her name from Halloween?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Pollak, I think, are the.
That's not the movie.
That's a shame. Maybe we'll do that one next. But what? No, what are?
He wrote Surf's Up.
Oh man, hell yeah!
And does that like I see that tracks. Also, did Deck the Halls. If you want to talk, and then just for like the DCOM fans in the class, he wrote the first DCOM, Under Wraps.
Oh yeah.
So like this guy, he's been doing some
classic
stuff.
Under Wraps is the one that had a lot of weird legal things about it, and they had to do an entire they decided to do an entire reshoot of the film to put it on Disney Plus a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the 2021.
So it's the exact same movie, beat for beat, but they just reshot the movie because of some rights issue with the original one. They didn't want to give, probably to this guy, didn't want to give credit to somebody or give money to somebody.
I don't know. I mean, that Under Wraps from 2021 specifically for Disney Plus, based on the movie written by Don Reimer. So weird, wild stuff as to how like this film still connects other. I mean, the Rachel Lee Cook connection and our Josie and the Pussycats episode, like that storyline. Bucky is such a fucked up character. Like you can't escape some of that shit. Like the whole, I thought you'd be scared, so I grabbed your shoulder. That wasn't my shoulder. Really? Like, ugh!
Well, and she calls his ass out on like
But
the
she's
faux
got a
feminism
big-
bullshit.
The faux feminism stuff is so good. Like, it's almost the 21st century. Women can be hostages, too. Like, that whole scene, like, Bucky, shut the fuck up. I understand that your name is Bucky, so you have had a difficult life, but, like, this is not the way, my friend.
No, this movie, I mean, at the end of the day, this movie really must be for 12-year-old boys, because if it is not for 12-year-old boys, it has some explaining to do about the fucking glamour shots of Rachel A. Cook in the beginning of this film.
Well, I did just mention that this is the same writer from Deck the Halls.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And if anybody doesn't know what happens in that movie.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. Go watch it. Or type into Google, controversy, Deck the Halls, Danny DeVito, Matthew Broderick.
There are some porn stars out there that look at that and blush.
Yeah, it's fair. It's very, very fair what Sejohn has just said. There's some stuff. Like, it is when they first introduced Bucky, I'm like, that's an adult male. Why is he not driving these kids to fucking school?
Yeah.
Like,
I thought he was supposed to be like a 7 or 18-year-old like brother. Like, I'm a senior, too cool for school. I shouldn't be in the carpool with the kids. No, it's none of that. He's just a creep.
No,
he's just a creep teen.
Just a creep, and the actor was born in 1982, which means that in 1996, yeah, he's like almost an adult man. It's so weird. He was also in Fantastic Four 2015, apparently. He was crew on it, though. He wasn't in the movie. Oh, okay. Gracious. Okay, so we're closing the book on Carpool, and we're going to talk about, this is a Warner Brother film. The length is 1 hour and 29 minutes. So they did what we did in the 90s and paired it with a short film so that you'd get at least 90 minutes of content for your movie ticket, right? In the 90s, we very much, in order to like make sure we could do as many showings as possible, the gold standard for the length of a film became 90 minutes. Like that 90 minutes to 100 minutes, that's legitimately what they aimed for. Because it meant it cost less in film to actually make the movie, and it meant that we could show, like, it meant an additional screening of each film at the multiplex just by shortening the film to less than 2 hours.
Yeah, this is some of the like Hollywood budgeting that we were like aware of at the time. Like, we know that things were even worse than we thought, but even in the 90s, we knew what the kind of bullshit they were pulling. Yeah. Like, this was so obvious that they were doing this kind of stuff. Like, if we make the movies as short as possible, we can do more than one showing in a day and make that cash. And it's like, yeah, but then also art suffers.
I mean, personally, I think that art flourishes in the, you have to tell a full story and you have a bit of a time constraint on it.
Carpool being evidence exhibit A.
No, I mean, like, I like if I love a nice tight 90 movie when it is coherent and cohesive. I also like a 4-hour movie, right? I've gone on record. We recorded for 4 hours talking about the 4-hour Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Right.
Yeah. I will say that, like, I also, you know, there's a good solid number of movies out there that I have watched more than once that land in like the 72 minute range.
Remember when Phone Booth came out and the big conversation around it was, is this even a fucking movie? Because it's it's like 69 minutes long.
Right.
Like that whole craziness that happened. Should have paired Phone Booth with a short film. So what Carpool is paired with is a Daffy Duck cartoon called Superior Duck, which is 7 minutes long. It is exactly 7 minutes long. It is rated G. This has to be post Space Jam, right? Space Jam was a summer film. So Space Jam has come up. So Superior Duck feels like, first of all, by all accounts, I'm going to read on the IMDb page the storyline, because I fucking love the storyline that's posted on IMDb. Just the first sentence. Daffy Duck, who's clearly playing his famous Duck Dodgers character, is trying to show his superheroic skills and powers, but the narrator just can't seem to come up with the right comparisons for his awesome abilities, which annoys Daffy to no end. Okay. Like, he never...
This would have been a 2-minute bit of a 7-minute Looney Tune cartoon.
Yes.
Like, this was not a strong enough premise to carry for 7 minutes. Especially because, like, it's just the same joke over and over and over again. It's supposedly a Chuck Jones one, but this must be, first of all, really late.
It's his second to last Chuck Jones Looney Tune.
And then on top of that, it doesn't have... Maybe this is kind of the big budget of it all, and the idea that it's being done on film in this way or whatever. It doesn't have the Chuck Jones, like... kinetic physics that, like, that's part of, like, there's a stylistic look to things that are, like, specific, like the details of things that Chuck Jones does that are very clearly Chuck Jones, right? But there is also something about the ways in which they move that are very Chuck Jones, that are very different than other ones, you know, like, and it doesn't have that. So it has, like, this, like, look to it that looks like a Chuck Jones Looney Tune, but then they're not moving the right way. And then on top of that, it's just the same joke being hammered home over and over and over again. And there's, like, some odd voice work going on. I think Jim Cummings was
yes, he
name dropped in the credits.
Yeah, so
is he the narrator?
No, the narrator is fucking Thurl Ravenscroft, Kirby from The Brave Little Toaster, amongst all other stuff. But, like, I'm like, that's Thurl, right? Yeah. Jim Cummings is the Tasmanian Devil.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good shit.
Yeah,
that was a good bit. Yeah, no, there's. I mean, it's funny. There's a Tiny Toons Taz that plush that shows up later in the circus shit. There's just this weird feeling to it that it just doesn't quite feel right the whole time. I don't know. Not my favorite.
So, I mean, it's a weird one too, because it's post Space Jam, so it's full of cameos, right? Like, who you'd expect to see in a Duck Dodgers is Daffy, Porky, probably Marvin the Martian, right? Like, those are the players in a Duck Dodgers.
Oh, and what's the like the space chicken's name? Norbert or something like that? The big green dude. But that's like I
want to look that up. They're just called Martians. I think that's all it is. Martians Looney Tunes. Do they have names?
And then what about Tiny there? Because he also, I think, is from he might be from one of the Halloween.
You thinking of Gossamer, the big red guy?
Gossamer, yeah.
That's Gossamer. Yeah, they're just called Instant Martians, the green chickens.
Oh, the Instant Martians, yes, because he gets them out of the gachapon machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, you'd expect them as well, right? But that's what you're kind of expecting from a Duck Dodgers. You have Foghorn Leghorn, who shows up in a great faster than a speeding pullet like line where he flies past a running young female chicken, and then Foghorn Leghorn, I'll say, is this young man giving you trouble? Like, it's so good. And then he bemoans modern audiences. Like, this is just a fucking grievance. This whole fucking cartoon.
Yeah. Well, and the pullet joke is ruined by the fact that, like, you're expecting it to be the Roadrunner, but then it's not.
Right.
And then they do the whole bit with Foghorn Leghorn, and then the Roadrunner shows up.
Right. And as does,
so
but there's just so many cameos. Taz shows up, and then he's like Taz vegetarian now. You have the Roadrunner. Wile E. Coyote shows up, and he's like, a duck in the hand is better than a Roadrunner in the bush. Like, he has a great little sign moment. Like, it is good. Or Tweety Bird, I taught a putty duck. Like, what the fuck is that joke? Like, it's just so weird. And I think
I taught Duck Dodges.
I taught Duck Dodges. There is the whole... This was conceived by Chuck Jones as a sequel to the 1943 short Super Rabbit, where, like, Bugs Bunny is Superman. But then that short is not owned by Warner Brothers in 96. So it had to be reworked to stand alone as the Superior Duck thing. Like, it's just crazy that, like, rights are an issue with this, and then all the cameo stuff to, like, kind of bite on the whole, like, Space Jam, we saw them all together, and people seem to enjoy that, right? Like, we're at a time where fucking Looney Tunes are dressing in hip-hop gear, and that's, like, a fashion choice that people can make into 90s.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, we are at the point where the Looney Tunes have started somewhat ironically, but then suddenly not so ironically become like icons again, right?
Right.
And it's really weird. This feels also like it was slapped together. Like, it really feels like it's a response to some things, like you mentioned, Space Jam, right? And so them being like, oh, we could lean on the Looney Tunes for something now, right? And then add to that probably some misgivings about the coming Carpool like release, and being like, what can we do to beef this thing up a bit, right? And saying, hey, well, the Looney Tunes are hot right now, we have a movie that we think is pretty much going to shit the bed when it comes out, can we put a Looney Tune in front of it? And then, like, to your point about, like, well, what do we own, what don't we own, what can we do? And like, this is what comes out of that. Like, it doesn't feel like this existed and then they were like, this is great, we want to highlight this, so we're going to put it with a movie we know that is going to bring an audience to it. This feels very much like we're putting this here hoping to God this draws some people in.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird. And then, like, the last crazy thing is that it's not Looney Tunes music, it's Merry Melodies music. So, like, that's part of what makes a Looney Tune and a Merry Melody a Merry Melody. And I know the distinction is small, but, like, the music is such an important part of that. So you feel like it feels slapdash together and it, like, there's something off about it. Just that alone would be enough for most people.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, it feels weird while you're watching it, and you can't quite put your finger on why. But it's little stuff like that. It's that the music isn't quite right, the motion isn't quite right, the comedy isn't quite right. It's a very weird little cartoon, and it's such a shame that Chuck Jones's name is on it, because he has made so many clearly superior,
right,
to borrow the word.
I mean, From Here to Eternity, the actual final Chuck Jones, it's a Bugs Bunny, and it's very good. So, like, he got to have that moment. Like, if this were the last Chuck Jones, that would break my heart. And it's not. It's not the last Chuck Jones. So, thankful for that. Also, fuck me, Space Jam didn't come out till November. So, this is trying to, like, warm people up for Space Jam.
Yeah. But Looney Tunes, but Space Jam is existing for the same reason this short is existing.
Right.
The Looney Tunes have weirdly come into the public eye.
Thanks, Nickelodeon.
Space Jam also benefits from a lot of what's going on with Michael Jordan at the time.
Right.
We're not going to get into that. That's a whole other episode. But, like, and so, I mean, like, the Looney Tunes are seen as this thing that they can bring in to, it feels like they were like, we need to do something to save the release of this film.
And this was I do like the Superman that shows up at the end of this cartoon. I like that it's like old style Superman.
The old Fleischer.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah. And, like, I'm handling this side of the street. And then he turns into Superior Bug. Like, it's like there's a good Looney Tunes here. They just need to, like, have actually given it the care that a Looney Tunes cartoon would normally get. Or, like you said, put this as a bit in a larger cartoon. But
does he turn into Superior Bug at the end because this was originally a Bugs Bunny cartoon?
No. He turns into Superior Bug, I think, just for... Maybe that's it. That could be it.
Well, no, like, I mean on a meta level.
Like,
was like they were just like, I don't know, this was always the original end of this thing, so now we're just going to have some excuse for it to be Daffy instead. Well,
like, what I could see is, like, if it were a sequel to, like, Super Rabbit, it would be very funny if it was Super Rabbit at the end, who, like, what's up, Doc? I'm covering this side of the street. And then he sends him away. And then he becomes Super Bug as, like, I could see that. Like, that was probably... I'd have to do more research into it. My research on this is essentially watching it and then, like, confirming where it was in Chuck Jones's filmography.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, but like wild that they paired it with this movie.
Yeah.
But all around weird experience. I think like seeing this film, I think it would have been very odd for me because this isn't one that I saw in theaters. It was one that I saw like the giant cutout for and wanted to see in theaters. But I think we had talked about this. My parents were kind of very off the Tom Arnold train by this point.
And who could blame them, right? If this trilogy of Tom Arnold films has taught us anything, it's like I get why the like people I understand it. I understand why he fell so far from grace after collectively like finding a way into our hearts with his marriage to Roseanne, who was huge in the 90s, her current politics and like mental state notwithstanding. She was undeniably huge in the 90s. And then
I mean,
his
not really the way to be looking at these things, but good on him for getting out of that fucking situation before shit hit the fan.
Yeah. But then also True Lies. Like, True Lies made him a fucking star. Like, this whole thing happened because of True Lies, which does lead to the last thing that I want to say on this thing, and then I'll let you have a final say too if you want to. Dale, like, so we had ordered food, and then it was supposed to be here by 7 so we could start the movie and we'd both be ready to record our episodes. They're not doing it. They're doing it on something else. She's on this whole 101 Dalmatians thing over at Saverport Jr., where she's like deep diving into every adaptation. Basically an episode, but across many episodes. And so our food, they called and they're
like...
This
version is Pongo on Once Upon a Time, but anyway.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good drop, Sejohn. The book is insane. Her whole thing led me to read the book, and it's nuts.
Yeah, the book is nuts.
So the place that we ordered our food from called at 7 o'clock, and we're running behind, so it'll be there by 7:30. So we started the movie, and then 7:30, knock on the door, our food is delivered. So we have to pause the movie, and Dale uses that as a moment to say, why the fuck was Tom Arnold doing such crazy roles before True Lies? And I got to be like, all right, we need to calm down for just 1 second. These crazy roles happened because of True Lies. Think about that. Like, he was balanced in True Lies. And then 2 years later, he did these 3 movies that I've made you watch, Dale. So that's the Tom Arnold Trilogy of 1996. It's given me a new appreciation for him as an actor. The fact that he's still acting after this is just impressive.
And it's one of those things that really highlights that as like audiences, we tend to put a lot of weight and a lot of responsibility on like main actors in these things, and the truth of the matter is that, you know, depending on who they are, depending on what the project is, they might not be the ones that are making the decisions that we are throwing at them. You know what I mean? Like, it really makes you rethink kind of the ways in which we kind of criticize things, criticize films, criticize actors, criticize artists. Like watching these movies and realizing that my whole life I had heard, and not just me believing this, like jokes were made about the fact that like Tom Arnold had a bit of a fireball of a career. It like literally went up in flames. Like it is unfortunate that that's the story, because you go back and you watch these movies and it's like, I don't think he was the problem in these films. Like, yeah, there were definitely some decisions that he made that, or maybe he was not directed well, or wasn't taking direction well, or whatever. Like, there's definitely ways in which he could have improved at the craft in which he was, you know, he was attempting. But that's not the worst part of these films. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not the reason these films didn't work for people.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Having watched them and I literally found something in each of these films that I can celebrate. It's just sad that, like, for the stupids, it's everybody but Tom Arnold. Like, I can't even think of who plays Mrs. Stupid, but she firing on all cylinders. Tom Arnold has one great scene in The Stupids, and it's when he deconstructs the whole movie in a moment of lucidity. Like, that's the thing that stuck with me. And I'm
also not going to give any credit to Bugs Meany, but, you know.
Yeah, well, That is the perfect name for him. Now I'm excited to talk about the Book of Love episode on American Pie. Because we're going to call him Bugs Meany. So, yeah. Anything else you want to make sure you get out about Tom Arnold before we revisit him next year with McHale's Navy and Austin Powers?
No. See y'all next year.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us as we've used these time capsules and excused absence episodes to look into the Tom Arnold Trilogy from 1996, celebrating 30 years of that year that Tom Arnold was in 3 movies. All of which they did things, I guess. If you've enjoyed the episode, we can keep the conversation going. We have a Discord. Links to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Navigate to our bio link section and you'll see a link to the Discord. Click and you'll be able to join and join in all the fun. I believe those 2 versions of this film that Sejohn talked about on YouTube, they're going to wind up in supplemental material. So if you want to see what he was talking about, I'm excited to see the Spanish language one, right? Because the movie's already full of ADR. Why not watch it in Spanish? But that's me. If you're not
the opening on the Spanish one, we didn't even talk about the crazy ass. As much as it had the Looney Tunes cartoon before it, it also then has a 2-minute animated opening sequence that is just the word carpool flying across the screen in various directions. Forever. It goes on forever.
Carpool, the term carpool had lost all meaning for me before the film even started. I'll just admit that. If you're not on social media but you want to join the Discord, shoot us an email to thesayreport@gmail.com. We can facilitate with an invitation that way. And if Discord's too much like social media and you just want to communicate with us outside of that, shoot us those emails, thesayreport@gmail.com. The most important thing is that if you're sending something for me, Devin Decker, or for him, Sejohn Sarwick, just put our name in the subject line. So Scott McArnold, just pop my name in the subject line, because I'll be the one who's, talking to you and apologizing for my slander about halfway through this episode on your name and on your whole personality. But the important thing is that if you do send something to me or Sejohn and we think it's worth talking about on the show, we're probably going to talk about it on the show. We're going to bring it up on the show. Anything that's submitted to the Say Report does open itself up to being scrutinized or discussed on the Say Report. That's just an important thing to know about the internet, right? I'm a big fan of teaching people how to talk on the internet now. That anything you put out there, somebody could talk about. And that's the thing we should all remember in 2026. Not just the Say Report, but literally comments on YouTube videos, things you post on social media. Just be aware that it's out there and people can comment on it. All of that said, thank you so much for joining us for this episode looking at the Tom Arnold, David Paymer 1996 classic, Carpool. And we will see you next time. Will, bring us home. Later.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devin Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.